Hey, what's up? Welcome to Mindless Entertainment, guys. It is Saturday. It is your God Empress here with an awesome group of, just mostly white guys on a Saturday. It is the fandom after all. We have to. No, I kid. I'm actually really excited to be here today because just, one of the fun things is when you exist in the world of nerd culture, it's not just Star Wars. It's not just Marvel. It's not just superheroes and whatnot. It's millions of movies and people who love different types of movies and different aspects of them. And what brings us here today is that we all love one movie in particular, and that is Jurassic Park. So before we get started, I want to introduce this wonderful group of people and everyone, who you are, where you came from, and how you would describe your relationship with Jurassic Park in one sentence, and how you came to be on the stream today. So let's start with AK. Go ahead.
Well, hi everyone. You've probably met me on the show before. Those who haven't, I'll briefly introduce myself. My name is AK Rex. I am the king and founder of House Rex and also the newly knighted member of the Fandom Menace. And I am a big fan of dinosaurs, including Jurassic Park. I like very many other things, which you can check out on my channel, which Jess has plugged in the description down below. And also, I like to rant a lot, and that's why I got on with Jess very well from the get-go, because we both rant. And I just came to have fun, and that's pretty much it. And also very nice to meet all these beautiful people who I see for the first time. And I brought a friend as well, Josh, down below right here.
Well, since you already kicked it over to him, let's go to Josh next. Josh, welcome. First time on Mindless Entertainment that we've seen you down in the chat plenty of times before.
Yeah, hi, I'm Josh. I own a T-Rex. And I'm a practicing and former effects artist for Hollywood, and I'm the president of a group known as Jurassicon, which we use to kind of use as a gateway science for children into the field of paleontology. I'm an amateur paleontologist myself. I've done a lot of digs with the tar pits, and I owe a lot of that to Jurassic Park, even though one is Cenozoic and the other one's Mesozoic, but that's splitting hairs.
I love it, and we'll get into all of that stuff too. So, guys, if you are dino people, the thing is, we don't softball anything on Mindless Entertainment. We bring the real nerds who talk about the real nerd stuff. So, you guys want to drop the science in here? I mean, you're not our only paleontologist on the stream today. So that said, Ninja Lawyer Steve, welcome. A ninja lawyer by day, but by night, a paleontologist.
Well, more like toilet scrubber by day and ninja lawyer and paleontologist by night. I do have to work a day job right now because I'm only what we call an avocational paleontologist or volunteer fossil hunter. I go on digs with all sorts of people, and I'm actually going to be moving to Texas in the spring to actually do that as a job. And if I had to sum up my relationship with Jurassic Park in one sentence, it would be, well, like everything else, they got me early.
Yep.
I saw the movie when it came out when I was 6. And, well, I was already obsessed with dinosaurs by then. It just sort of solidified it. And, even though I kind of switched to mammals in high school, I still have a soft spot for the big dumb lizards.
Oh, and how can you not? I mean, they're part of so many people's childhoods, and so many people's childhoods. When Jeff comes back, Jeff is going to be joining us today, guys. If you're wondering, where's Jeff? He will be joining us. He just had to run out and do an errand really quickly, but he will be back here, and he'll speak on that a little bit too, because Jeff, unlike the rest of us, is not a massive Jurassic Park fan, but dinos are part of his childhood as well. But before we get there, since he's not even in here, we cannot forget the one, the only, Theon Green.
Baby, boys and girls, children of all ages, you needed a trustworthy voice during this stream. Well, goddammit, you got it. Huge fan. Love Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic. The Lost World. I am very fond of Jurassic Park 3. Fuck Jurassic World, but hey, I love it. I had one of those informational booklets across, one of those thick ass binders that my parents got me. So I've been into dinosaurs for a very, very long time, and also it's the cultural impact of the film. The other part of the franchise I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, man, I'm all about the park, baby. Listen, I'm like nature. I found a way back.
There you are, and here you are. And we're very, very. Is this Deanna? Is this your first? No, this is your second official appearance on Mindless Entertainment because you guys came over for Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
First sober one? Question mark for now.
No, I was sipping not only in preparation for the stream, but also just hey, it's UFC fights are on. It's a Saturday. I'm chilling.
It's already evening where you are too. It's still morning here, but afternoon here. It's morning for me. I haven't been up that long. Let's be real.
Right.
We do have a couple super chats though, so we can get the drinking started. Jeff will catch up. He's good at that. Where? Okay. There is another one in here, I know, but I can't find it. It's like, yeah, you have 2 super chats, a $2 one and a $5 one, but you can only see the $5 one because we're YouTube and we hate you. Stand by. Oh, so we are, guys, we're going to be talking about all of the movies. We are going to be talking about everything Jurassic Park related, dinosaur related, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in a little bit, probably about 5-10 minutes or so, we will be throwing on the first film just to have something to watch, something to focus on if we want to. We invite you guys all to put it on, watch along with us, because it's always a good day when you're watching Jurassic Park. Although, while I'm whatever it was I was doing, while I'm remembering what it was I was doing and then doing that, Josh, you want to talk a little bit about what is behind you?
Yes. So this is a 1:1 scale 3D scan and then 3D print of the animatronic Rex used in the first Jurassic Park. So her name's officially Roberta. Roberta is the name that they gave the animatronic during production. So we call her Robbie for short. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a full restoration of her because of the 3D print process, which this was modeled by Rob Miranda, which is a great artist on Instagram. He's been helping me with all the digital assets, preserving them from Stan Winston Studios into our organization. So let me see if I can move the laptop around a little bit here. I have an umbrella just to hide the sun, or else everything would be blown out. But you can see here on this side, she's getting fully painted right there. But if I move over to the other side, you can see more of the restoration process that's going on. So I got to do resculpting of all the tiny little scales on her right there.
Wow.
That way we get the maximum detail. So I'm using Stan Winston Studio photos because a lot of behind the scenes photos have since been released thanks to Stan Winston Studios and the Stan Winston School. And Matt Winston, who's Stan's son, who's still around. So that's what we're doing with the T-Rex. She'll be on exhibit this year, I believe. We're looking at a fall exhibition date at the Natural History Museum, which is the big museum here in LA.
Yeah. Oh man, we'll have to go check that out then, since Jeff and I live out here now. So. Yeah. That'll be cool. Let me also now. Do you make content on your YouTube channel at all, Josh?
I used to. I'm a man of many hats. I went through a YouTube phase in the early 2000s, but it wasn't as lucrative as it is now. Like back then, there were very few YouTube celebrities per se. This was back in the day. I think they mentioned last stream where iJustine was big. iJustine was like the biggest YouTube star, and she was pretty much just a spokesperson for Apple products. But that was the standard. Yeah. So I have content. I do sometimes release BTS footage for the Jurassicon Facebook site. So anything we do exhibits of, or if we do sizzle reels for previous exhibits, that'll be on my YouTube channel. But I'm not active. I'm not really. I don't really have a talk show or something of this capacity on there. Gotcha, that's why I do guest spots.
I'm gonna make sure I'll make sure I get that link in there. I know AK sent it to me, and I had copies I can find on your channel, so I'll make sure we get into the description as well. All right, here's what I was trying to find, because apparently YouTube has been weird about letting you see your super chats, because I don't know, it doesn't want you to have
Good
money.
old YouTube, man. They're running a fantastic streak right now.
Okay, there we go. And we have a Jeff back, so that's
You have Jeff back.
the one and only Jeff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wild Jeff has appeared.
Wild Jeff has appeared indeed.
I'm pretty wild today. Don't test me. Dr.
And-
Coffin Nails, I see you. This whole stream. Dr. Coffin Nails, I'm watching you. Give me the screen. Full screen. Yeah. All right, we're good. He knows. He knows.
It's the cream of the crop.
Our first super chat of the day comes from 007 Cloud for $2. Says, "Let's go, let's go, indeed." We are drinking.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
What flavor is yours? Mine's gin, grapefruit. Yours is
Mine
gin.
is gin tropical. It's really good, actually. The juniper goes nicely in it.
I mean, it is a berry.
It's nice. God. All right, and we got Ginger Viking Jesus.
Gin.
Thank you, gin. Oh, what are you guys drinking, by the way? You
I
guys,
got me a local IPA, Upper Hand Brewery up from Escanaba, Michigan. I think my father-in-law is from there. So, I got some IPA in the moonlight. And then I went and got some other Michigan beer out there, cooling in the nice Midwest fucking winter.
It's like 70 degrees here, dude. I'm
yeah,
sweating.
it's nice.
Oh, it's like 70 degrees? Well, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I wore a jacket. It was too
Kiss his black ass.
What's your is too much? I haven't worn a pair of pants in 6 months, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Next week.
Double go for, you can double bet on that. No, what is it? It's a double dumbass on you.
Thank you, Kirk.
Did you keep drinking? He just says, "Ark survival evolved. Survival evolved allows you to build your own Jurassic Park." Changed my mind. I don't know what it is. Ark survival evolved. Mitigate is
Video
what
game,
is that?
like- What are we changing our mind about?
Yeah, it's a video game, yeah.
Is that a thing you can do on it? Could you build a Jurassic Park on it? That sounds fun. I want
You
to play.
can, yeah.
Jurassic Park is a long-running, multi-billion-dollar franchise. One game cannot beat that.
Well,
I just want to play a game where you play as a velociraptor and you just eat children.
that would be great. I just want to play a VR game where I get to run around as a velociraptor murdering people.
We'll get to the idea of eating children later when we discuss movies. I have a long rant on that.
I'm ready for it.
I was about to say, wasn't the Sega Genesis game? Couldn't you play a raptor in the OG Sega Genesis game? Yeah,
In fact, two of them.
yeah,
You
that was my
have the
favorite game.
regular.
You can play as a raptor.
There's also Rampage Edition one as well.
Yeah, Rampage Edition was a good one.
Oh God,
Movie star.
I never watched it. Andy from the UK says, "Hello, puppets. Dion, my brother. Good to see you all. It's good to see you too."
Andy, my man.
Maybe next time we'll get voted the honorary bullshitter. Dr. Coffin Nails says, "AK Rex, your opinion on T-Rex versus Spinosaurus? I think T-Rex would have kicked Spino's ass in real life."
It would have kicked it 10 times over. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people who do not know the paleontology side of the animals would know two things about Spinosaurus. First and foremost is that it's a highly obscure taxon, despite it being very famous. So we don't actually know a whole lot about it. And the other problem is, what we do know is that it would be pretty damn fragile for something like that to take on something like T-Rex. And of course, lastly, different time periods, different locations. Spinosaurus would not have even known that T-Rex would have ever come to exist because they're millions of years apart. That aside, in JP3, I was wondering, shall we address this now or shall we wait till we actually start talking about the movies and then we can address the, JP3 Rex versus Spino in that context?
Yeah,
so what do you think?
This is a deep rabbit hole, paleo-wise.
It's a very deep rabbit hole, yeah.
deep rabbit hole.
Please weigh in. I mean, this is what we're here for. So everyone get your movies queued up.
Out.
Anyone who's going to be watching along, get the movie queued up. But by all means, take a minute and Josh and Doug weigh in.
I will just try to say one thing that for me personally, I think that was well, unrealistic even at the time when there was a different perception of what Spinosaurus was. And we already know this. There's been a confirmation. Even Dr. Horner himself confirmed it, that it was just, a way to throw a publicity stunt, just to do something different. It's basically nothing. There's no actual proper explanation to it, other than Hollywood just wanted to do something new and different because they thought that the good old thing just got too tiring for whatever reason. Although I disagree with that notion.
Hollywood did that? You don't say.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought, right? But then look at it this way. Look at it this way. At the time, I was about to turn 18 or something, so I was still this young, naive guy in high school who thought that Hollywood actually cares about doing things right. But geez, how wrong I was until, of course, I found out about the fandom menace.
As the Hollywood guy here, because I've worked with a lot of effects artists who actually worked on the original films. There is a very detailed story that goes into the Spinosaurus involvement in JP3. And originally, for the majority of the film when it was being developed, it was supposed to be the baryonyx. And the baryonyx was something that was established in, I think, the Lost World games. So they were going to carry that over into JP3. Enter Jack Horner, who found the remains of this fossil that was destroyed in World War II for Spinosaurus. We got a movie Monster. So yeah, what you see in Jurassic Park doesn't exist as far as Spinosaurus. As far as the real animals, it would be kind of like who's in whose environment. Spinosaurus is more of an aquatic dinosaur. T-Rex is a land theropod. So it's like a lion and a shark. If a lion's in the ocean, it's going to get eaten. If the shark's on land, it's going to get killed.
Plus, even an actual Spinosaurus is like half the size of what's in the movie, which was a really interesting way around it because they kind of like talk about how it's not like a real, it's one of their genetic monsters, which was very smart to do to not piss off the actual paleontology community. But it's like the most movie thing ever. It's like, hey, this thing kind of exists. We're gonna make it 5 times its normal size, and it breaks a T-Rex's neck because that would happen.
I like to use this as an excuse to think that maybe they spliced the T-Rex DNA into making that Spinosaurus and just gave its long snout and a sail on the back, very generic looking, but otherwise, tendency, to strength, basically being.
I feel like you're dropping deep cuts because I did a fan fiction, and funny enough, that we released last year through Jurassicon. And that was my explanation for the Spinosaurus, it was just genetically a hybrid with the T-Rex.
And that was my
if I remember correctly, if I remember correctly in the film, its official designation is a Spinosaurus Rex. So I think you guys are 100% on the money that's exactly what the I guess the out was. That was the back door. It was like, hey, it's real, but not really. It's mixed with a T-Rex. Come watch our movie.
007 Cloud says .com.
That's
my man.
Bring
my man.
To the day. Oh, you missed it. I got to introduce Dion. What do you do? It was fun.
Dion, was it as good?
It was doable for sure. She's got some practicing, but the delivery, I was proud of her. She did a great lead-in too. I think she even dropped the one and only. So I was like, all right.
Is for her to show the same respect to you that I do, which is none, and she has
0.
So, when you get to kiss, but you're too far away, so you have to do it.
Oh, Greg Kirby says cheese, bacon, pepperoni, stuffed crust coming. All right, Greg Kirby's ready to hang out with us.
Wait, Greg,
So envious.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, right. Send one our way.
Dude, stuffed crust.
Yeah, I fucks with that stuffed crust. And then
I love stuffed crust as well.
Fuck around, it's gonna show up.
And, let's see, what else did we have? Was that it? We might be ready. Oh wait. Andy, let me see. Is that the last one? Yeah, and then we'll start the movie, and then we'll talk about more stuff. Andy from the UK says, Jeff, what's up? Oh, what a rush!
Wrestling. Oh, what a rush!
Guys, just a quick one as well. If you get a chance to get your hands on this rare gem right here, grab it.
Yeah, it's a good book.
It's a very good book, yeah. It's got all of the three. Well, it's a trilogy of JP. It's got the all the other franchises, Stan Winston Studio as well, and obviously lots of famous people right here, if you can see, who are talking highly of the studio as well, because they've obviously been involved with it in this project. So it's really nice book, good sort of explanation, very basic stuff, but there's also lots of photographs of the props and like the maquettes, the artwork, so really good stuff. So grab it if you can.
All right. So are we gonna stream the movie? Is that the plan?
Yeah. So we'll be watching it in our separate corners. So if you don't have it
on Netflix, let me check real quick for you.
Yeah. So if you don't have it on a screen there, obviously, Josh, I'm sure you know it pretty much by heart. So
So, but what I want to do is I'm going to relocate to. Right now, I'm at Site A. I'm going to relocate to Site B. But I wanted to give everybody one last look at the T-Rex before I relocate.
Let me make you big. I'll make you big so we can take a look.
So this is one last look at her. Again, we're working on her, and I'll see you guys when I relocate to Site B. I'll be right back.
Wait, don't move! Don't move! I can see you! Stop moving so much!
You can't see me if it doesn't move.
Its vision's based on booty.
Oh, that's awesome! I don't know if you heard. That's a 3D print from the actual animatronic.
That's awesome. I thought it was an animatronic head from the movie.
That guy had more lens flares than
You
the
can already
remake
hold
of Star
animatronic
Trek.
Now he makes. That's what he works on, the effect of dino effects and stuff. Yeah, that's so cool. So I took one out.
Geez, that guy had more lens flares than the remake of Star Trek.
Everyone's a critic. Oh, Doug, you never weighed in. What was your thoughts on the Spino versus T-Rex?
Well, again, try not to go down the rabbit hole, but basically, yeah, T-Rex all the way. I mean, Spinosaurus was maybe bigger overall, but T-Rex was just a very robust animal with very strong jaws, very strong teeth. I mean, the thing was made to kill big stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Spinosaurids, we're still not exactly sure what they ate, but they leaned at least towards partial fish eating. And you don't necessarily need really powerful jaws for that. You just need, sharp conical teeth for grabbing slippery prey. And how much use that is against, sometimes literally mountains of flesh, not going to do a whole lot. Yeah. And because from the fossils we have so far, even before, Spinosaurus's makeover, we knew Spinosaurus wasn't the top predator of its ecosystem. There were these huge T-Rex-sized carnosaurs called Carcharodontosaurs. And, again, they just kind of put the Spinosaurus to shame. But then again, it was Jack Horner partially behind, the idea of Spinosaurus beating T-Rex. And, well, frankly, the less said about that guy, the better.
Yeah. See, that's, I think, probably why I don't like 3 so much. But it's fun because even the Jurassic World movies always give the nod to the T-Rex. At some point in both of the movies, they give a nod to the T-Rex. And,
Rexy was 20 years older, and Rexy was 20 years older, and yet she was still able to dish it out against the genetically engineered super predator.
Exactly.
Can I quickly ask a question to Ninja Lawyer Steve? Since we forgot to address this, since you are a paleontologist, do you have any, like doctor or any other way you prefer to be addressed, or just Steve? How would you want to do it?
Badass motherfucker, obviously. That's my boy Steve. He's the man.
Yeah, that fucks with us too.
Remember.
Say it again, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, no doctor, because like I said, I'm a volunteer, so at least for now, right. So not like any like doctor or master student or anything like that. I'm just Doug. Or Ninja Lawyer, depending which version of me you prefer.
Dino Doug or Ninja Lawyer Steve.
I mean, Ninja Lawyer Steve's so cool.
It is great. For all your Ninja Lawyering needs.
Steve.
We have that written down on one of our Mad Libs pages. So. And yes, guys, we know that Ninja Lawyer Steve's coming a little quieter than everybody else. That's why we're just trying to be quiet ourselves when he talks. So if you need to just crank it up a little bit when he has the floor.
Out of respect, I'm going to stop talking for the rest of the stream so everyone can hear Ninja Steve better.
Thank you, Jeff.
And we might just have him awkwardly.
Steve, just try to get really angry and just shout at the camera.
Take inspiration from me. While we're waiting for Josh to get
Damn you kids, get off my live stream.
There you go.
Yeah.
That came through perfectly. While we're waiting for Josh to get to Site B. I know it's hard to get from Isla Nublar to Sorna. But favorite dino. Oh wait, Jeff. You have to answer the
What's the question?
relationship with dinos with Jurassic Park and how you came to be here. And I did mention that your relationship with dinosaurs is a little different than the rest of us.
Yeah, so I didn't see Jurassic Park until the 20th anniversary re-release in IMAX. I didn't grow up with this movie. Dinosaurs as a kid were Power Rangers Dinosaurs, which I loved. But at the same time with Jurassic Park, I was more a Power Rangers kid. So I liked dinosaurs, but not real dinosaurs. I was into the fake ones from the Power Rangers. And then other stuff caught my interest for years and years and years. So like I said, I was 25 when I saw Jurassic Park. I like it a lot. I think the first one's a solid flick. But I do have the benefit of watching all of these movies without any kind of like attachment to them. So I kind of grade them as films, and I don't look at it as like, oh, I know the story so well as that. So I have like an oddly cold approach to them, but I like them all because I got to experience them without any kind of anything. I took it out on my own to watch them. And 1's great, 2 really good enough, 3 sucks. 4 I like, 5 I didn't kind of like, and I can't wait to see the 6th one. So I mean, I have nothing but good things to say. Like, yay, Jeff Goldblum.
I got a big rant coming up on the latest ones.
Watch, Jeff Goldblum is going to save the world by giving the dinosaurs a computer virus.
On a Mac.
Yeah.
Max, fine.
Good morning, Dave.
Oh my God, Max, find a way. Yes.
Which a lot of people don't realize for Independence Day, Roman Emmerich specifically told him not to say "must go faster," and he fucking did it anyway, which is awesome.
Because Jeff Goldblum is the fucking man. I will hear nothing bad.
That was
about
his
that
decade,
man.
the 90s.
It really was.
I know he did more stuff.
100%.
He was just the man in the 90s. All right. So, everyone's queued up on their watching this. Yes, everyone is queued up and ready to go. All right. So,
Queued in my head.
perfect. So, we're gonna go from 0 and press play in 3, 2, 1. Boop. Oh, so you should be getting your
Universal.
universal menu popping up. So while we're getting here in the intro, everyone's favorite dinosaur. Does everyone have a favorite dinosaur? If so, what is it? If you want to go with the why, that's cool too.
I mean, I'm pretty standard. It's the T-Rex. I mean, Tyrannosaurus Rex is a badass. It's an apex predator. It's hard to be a young boy growing up and not be a T-Rex fan. Don't get me wrong, Velociraptors are dope as shit, but give me the original lone wolf, yo.
An actual lone wolf.
Baron Corbin?
I'll just say like the T-Rex as well because it looks cool. It's the king, and my favorite part of Jurassic Park 4 was when he came up and beat the shit out of the Indominus Rex with the other ones. So I was like, hey, I like that character of the T-Rex, even though it's not the same one.
This is a great movie opener, by the way. The Velociraptor cage. Oh.
Because it's Steven Spielberg.
He really
say that, but
he knows how to do a hook. I mean, he really knows how to do a hook.
Even in his terrible movies like 1941,
yeah,
he parodies the opening of Jaws again. He gets the same girl, and instead of a shark coming up to eat her, it's a periscope that takes her naked body and shoots out. It's funny.
Yeah, Spielberg definitely, in his old age, he has a playbook, and he goes by it. Like, the 90s are definitely, late 80s, 90s, that's where he's writing the playbook, and then everything afterwards is, let's go to the well, and just keep doing it.
Is this now, for those who, is this how the book starts? Does it open with this like this, or does it start out differently? No, it starts differently.
No, there's a whole scene in I believe Costa Rica
pull that up there for your. I just wanted to pull that up there so we could see all your new toys.
Oh yeah, this is a sample of our archives that we have. This is my work office, pretty much. But there's a whole scene in Costa Rica that has to deal with it revolves around a nurse. They get a helicopter come in late at night. There's a body that's shipped into intensive care, and there's this whole play. Like Crichton, just like Spielberg knew how to write a hook, Crichton also knew how to write a hook, because that whole scene just kind of sets up the mood. Like they go into the dictionary term for the word raptor, and the patient that they get in the hospital is like murmuring the word raptor, and he has like lacerations and claw marks all over him. So the doctor is like, well, I've never heard a Costa Rican word that says raptor. Like, what's the meaning of this word raptor? And it isn't until they cart away the body and the helicopter disappears into the rain that she looks it up in the dictionary, and then it says raptor, definition, bird of prey. So that already kind of gets you like invested, like, oh, okay, we're talking about animals here. Something ate this guy. Like, it was a great hook that was written into it. So like, it would be fascinating. I think that's the one scene that I've never seen replicated in any of the Jurassic Park films. I would like to see it if we get anything good out of Dominion.
Yeah.
Well, the thing too about the book that I vaguely remember is, and it's Michael Crichton, but he made InGen a lot more sinister in the book from what I remember. And again, this is when I read it in high school. But like, yeah, because they go more into InGen covering injuries and shit up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I loved about it. You know, reading it as a fucking 15-year-old. But remember, he does a way better job of making InGen like sinister as opposed to in the movie where they're kind of like, hey, John Hammond's this goofy old man that cut corners. And in the book, they're like, yo, we're trying to make billions off this fucking park. We will cover this shit up. No, you didn't get attacked by a raptor. You got attacked by locals or whatever the fuck it is in the book. So
yeah. Well, I believe in the book they even note like the reason Hammond chose local labor off Costa Rica to work on the island was because there would be less loose ends to tie up when they had a fatality and when they had to report it to their family. It's like, oh, it's Costa Rican labor. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's Costa Rica. They're fine.
007 Cloud says T-Rex Rexy is Bay. Dick.
It's Robbie, Roberta. Get your names right.
I can't wait till I can top yours off again. I'm gonna mess you up today.
You're retarded here.
It always is, but you know.
Oh, so favorites. Okay, so we got Jeff's and Dion's, and all right, AK, what favorite dino?
To be honest, this is the most difficult question. Obviously, it's always the cliche, the T-Rex, but there are just a couple others that I really like, which are so close. So can I name 3, maybe? I mean, normally I go for 10, but I'll just do 3.
We'll allow it.
Okay, so the second one would be Triceratops, because it's obviously it's the rival, so to speak, the prey maybe item for the Rex in the same time period, in the same place as well. And I just really like the idea of something really big and tanky with massive horns point, like basically like a spear phalanx pointing forwards, which is pretty awesome. And
did you ever see the movie Planet of the Dinosaurs? It was like this.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's one of those old ones, isn't it?
The stop motion scene where the T-Rex gores, or where the Triceratops gores one of the guys, stayed with me, like over the T-Rex and over anything else. That one scene of the Triceratops goring someone haunted me forever.
Epic.
Actually, that was a Styracosaurus.
I apologize. I
think so. Yeah. It's been so long. I haven't seen it for a long time, but I think it was a Styracosaurus actually. But anyway, third one.
Fact, I think Planet of the Dinosaurs, I believe those are space dinosaurs that we're seeing.
Yeah,
because it was like a whole other planet that they traveled to, right? Like those
Spinosaurus.
Planet.
So it can be maybe it's a Triceratops there, okay?
This is a dinosaur stream.
It's a space ceratops. Well, I fully admit that on this dino stream, I am the second least knowledgeable person about dinosaurs here. I'm very
Don't
happy.
speak for Dion like that. That's fucking rude.
Listen, man, I'm just a mark, okay? I got no problem marking out to say I don't know. Don't undersell yourself.
Oh man.
So third one and the last one on my list is Ankylosaurus, and the reason is because it's got armor, and I just love everything to do with armor. And it also has a massive mace/club tail that it can use to basically smash things, which is awesome, because medieval mace is my favorite weapon as well. So there we go.
I've always thought Ankylosaurs were super badass for that
They're
reason.
badass as fuck.
Joshua, favorite dino?
Yeah, I mean, I feel if I don't say it's Robbie when I work on her, she'll just eat me. So it's definitely the T-Rex. But yeah, no, that's a childhood thing that dates back like Land Before Time days, Planet of the Dinosaurs days, 1933 King Kong. The biggest scene for me was Kong fighting the T-Rex. So I think T-Rex for me was just like a staple for like every dinosaur film I ever saw. There was always a T-Rex, so that just kind of, you know, just embedded in me like T-Rex. So she's definitely my fave dinosaur. And because of that, like the probably the one thing we debate the most and passionately about is the scientific representation of T-Rex. In fact, me and Arson were in our chat. We're just talking about a new discovery that we found on social media of all places that we're gonna try to work into our scientific charts for dinosaur skin and what these dinosaurs really look like versus what failed video games tell us they look like.
Oh, burn.
Fun times. That's cool.
Sorry, failed video games that take 7+ years to make and they still haven't got a product, even though they sunk in $200K into it. Just, saying.
Yeah,
sorry.
that's a failed video game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a failed video game.
That's what it really feel, guys. Mom House, thank you for the super chat. T-Rex is my favorite because I am a dragon girl, but my second favorite is a Microraptor because adorable. Microraptors are adorable.
Oh, yeah.
Microraptors are amazing. They're like they're the types who are quite nice to put in a cage because they're probably gonna trash your whole place if you let them out.
A little more tough badass. Ginger Viking Jesus says the Tyrant Lizard King. Guess we got another T-Rex fan in the house.
That sounds like a Spider-Man villain or a Conan.
I mean, T-Rex is a noble choice. Ninja Lawyer Steve, favorite dino? Unmute your mic first.
It's hard to say because, again, I'm more into the time period after dinosaurs. But if I had to peg a dinosaur, I'd say probably it's called Pachyrhinosaurus. It's a relative of Triceratops, except instead of the big horns, it just has this huge bony boss on its nose.
Yes.
So, as opposed to AK's phalanx. Yeah, there you go. Thanks. That's what it looks like.
That's cool.
Damn. Those are neat.
It's kind of scary.
Saw a bunch of those on display in Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. No, that was actually another dinosaur called Sinoceratops, which is actually from China.
Shows you what I
But it had holes in its frill, which we don't think it actually would have. But it's thought that it had holes in its frill because they did it in Walking with Dinosaurs, where there was a Pachyrhinosaurus with holes in its frill.
am.
Yeah, but funny enough, like that was a pathology, right? Like that's because an Albertosaurus bit into the frill, so it had that hole. Enter Jurassic World, and you're like,
the makers of Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, it's like enter these guys. They're like, oh, this is how the dinosaur works. Just make holes.
Thank you, Marv Alice.
You know how the dinosaurs look.
Marv Alice sent another one. We did find your message from the first one, but thank you for sending in a second super chat. Love you, appreciate you, Marv Alice.
Thanks, Marv.
Microraptors.
Yeah, really fast too, Ninja Lawyer. Like, because I like Cenozoic mammals as well. What's your favorite prehistoric mammal species?
As far as mammals go, it's not really so much a species as a group, and that would be the elephants. So mammoths, mastodons, these things called shovel tuskers, that sort of thing. And then a close second to that would be this thing called Megalania, this giant lizard from the Ice Age of Australia.
Ooh. Oh, nice.
That's it.
That sounds cool.
I'd say those would be my two favorite of the Age of Mammals.
Very cool. I'm partial to Dinosaurus, which is a fancier name of Wintotherium. And then I like my Brontotheres. I like those big shovel-tusked rhino-looking monsters. Those are pretty cool.
Oh yeah, the Brontotheres are metal.
Yeah.
Brontotheres are metal.
I have the coolest creature from the Cenozoic for you. Dedicuras from South America. That thing was a living tank. It's basically a mammalian ankylosaurus, except that its club tail was also
Yeah, you're just saying that
spiky.
because it has a morning star in its tail.
Yes, it's got a morning star at the end of the tail, yeah.
And yeah, that's what I tell people. It's like, oh, ankylosaurs had a club. You know, Glyptodons had a freaking mace, a morning star.
Dion, I think you need to read this super chat.
That's a Tim Murphy kind of joke right there. Do you think Thesaurus?
Do you want to read that one out loud for us, Dion?
The most recent one?
The one from Middle Class Bullshitters.
Oh, I got it. I like Funkasaurus. Somebody call my mama. Better call my mama.
There's a fucking wrestler.
Call my mama.
Funkasaurus, and he just dances with these women.
Yep.
It was terrible.
Oh my god!
It was a terrible gimmick that was hilarious, and then he just disappeared. Oh, Brodus, we miss you, Brodus.
No.
So, crazy old guy shows up at your dig site and invites you to Dino Island. Do you go?
Yeah.
I mean, for what he was saying, yeah.
I probably would as well. Guilty pleasure it would be.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't just show up and invite. He showed up and threw money.
That's true. Oh, I'm fucking going no matter what. As you're paying my expenses, I'd fucking go for free.
Yeah, like, oh, an island with iguanas? Yeah, those are dinosaurs. I'm there.
He financed it for like 3 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah, on the dig for 3 years.
Okay.
So my favorite dinosaur actually is not a T-Rex, and it has been this since I was. It's not just contrarian, but ever since I was a kid, I read a kid's book about dinosaurs with like pictures and all this stuff, and it had the Deinonychus in it.
Oh, nice.
It just stuck with me the whole, it grabs its prey on the shoulders and then takes its killing claw and guts it. And then you saw that reflected too in the way they do the raptors in Jurassic Park. They're more like, what is the thing? It's not a velociraptor, but they're more like another type of raptor, right?
Yeah, it's
raptor.
Yeah, Utah raptor is the largest, like, big raptor.
Yeah.
Like this is the head right here. From the dinosaurs from J Park.
Yeah.
You can see how big this guy is.
So I know the Utah raptors do have a big claw like that too, right?
Yeah. All dromaeosaurids, they're all classified as dromaeosaurids. So all of them have that kill claw.
Yeah.
This guy, funny enough, was modeled after a Deinonychus because
that's what I thought. Okay, so I did. Yeah. I was right about that. Okay.
Yeah, because what happens is when Michael Crichton was first researching for the book, he actually approached a lot of paleontologists, and there was one paleontologist because Velociraptor that well known at the time, but wanted to use it because of a really big brain case. That was the appealing thing about raptors was Velociraptor had this well preserved brain case.
Yeah.
So I forget the book. Arson, feel free to drop the name. I think it's like Saint Pierre. What was his name? The guy that writes those books.
Which one?
The one that did the Deinonychus Velociraptor Association.
Was it not Greg Paul?
Yeah, Greg Paul. So Greg Paul wrote a book, and he kind of lumped Velociraptor with Deinonychus. It was like Velociraptor Antirrhipus, I think it was called. And that's a published book. You can find that book still.
It's probably like a Princeton guide to the universe.
Yeah, so Crichton,
that guy loves everything.
Yeah, there's lumpers and splitters in the paleo field. But what happened was Crichton saw that because there wasn't a lot of fossils with Velociraptor, they just used Deinonychus. So that's why you get a lot of the features on this sculpt that are more toward Deinonychus than they are Velociraptor. They finally corrected it around like Jurassic Park 3, you actually have this more slender snout.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, this was a Deinonychus Velociraptor hybrid.
Okay, cool. That's okay. So I was right about that because I thought that I'd heard that somewhere, but then I was like, oh, or was that just wishful thinking because the Deinonychus was my favorite? So
Yeah.
I'm glad that was because I like that. That's actually particularly, I like that blockier because I always liked the T-Rex as a kid, but I always liked the Velociraptors in the movies, especially in the second movie, and I loved The Lost World. And so then I had my favorite as the Deinonychus from the book, and it was just cool. It was like, well, the Deinonychus was sort of the beefier, more almost T-Rexy looking raptor, and so it was the perfect blend of my two kind of other favorites.
Yeah.
That's sort of how I landed on that guy. And that image in the book of the little picture book I had of this thing ripping out somebody's guts. I was a fan.
Funny enough, if you like Deinonychus, Phil Tippett, he did a series of dinosaur shorts, stop motion animation called Prehistoric Beasts.
Okay.
So that's a documentary. It actually is hosted by Christopher Reeve, who's Superman.
Wow.
And there's a whole animated sequence where
Are you sure Christopher Reeve is Superman?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a whole sequence where the Deinonychus are hunting down Struthiomimus, which is a Gallimimus cousin. And it's beautiful. Like, it's shot like a horror film. Phil Tippett was that pretty much got Phil Tippett the job on Jurassic Park, was that short series.
Wow.
It's one of the best dinosaur documentaries in my opinion to this day.
I just wrote that down, so I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Yeah, it's really amazing. Oh, sorry, Ninja Lawyers, if you've been holding up that claw, I will really want to highlight that for a sec.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because this is the killing claw of Velociraptor. Here's the killing claw of Deinonychus, and then here's the killing claw of Utah Raptor. You can kind of see this is the size of the raptors in the movie, and here's how big they were in real life. But basically, because what happened was, because Velociraptor is about the size of a turkey, and that's obviously no match for us powerful, alpha humans, and so they upped the size. But what happened was, just as they finished production on the movie, Utah Raptor was found in, as the name implies, Utah, and suddenly we had an actual raptor as big as they were in the movie, but it wasn't Velociraptor. But movie was a hit. People were ingrained with the name Velociraptor, and well, the rest is history.
RG up here said, actually, Crichton apologized to the paleontologist about the name change because Velociraptor sounded better. Ha! Neat. Well, there you go. Marv Alice, my favorite prehistoric mammal is either the Thylocoleo marsupial lion, or in real life drop bear, or the Livyatan melville, a sperm whale with T-Rex teeth.
That's nightmare fuel.
Very good choices, Marv.
I definitely approve those choices. I've recently done a live stream with Josh and a guest from Australia. Nice tattoo, by the way. And
that is a nice tattoo. Nice.
Yeah, we did a whole live stream on this animal and just generally Australian megafauna, where we dive really deep into their anatomy and what they were like, their environment and everything. So shout out to Harry Wilson as well, if you're watching. And check it out, Alice, on my channel as well. Definitely should have a look at that. Also, the avatar picture is kind of cute too. Just notice.
Yeah, so these are tooth castings of Thylocoleo jaws. So this is pretty much the tooth mechanism for this marsupial lion species that was terrorizing Australia while the Aborigines were still around, actually.
And we got another one over there.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, that's so fun. This is so
Philo buddies. Philo buddies.
Oh my God. You guys should make a video where they're just talking to each other.
Right, just hey man, what's up?
Kiss my black ass. Waka waka.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh my God, Starfreak is just the Emu Wars. I remember learning about the Emu Wars. Holy shit. That's a thing. Australia waged wars against emus twice and lost both times. It's amazing. It happened. It's so incredible too when you look at, so Michael Crichton, we were talking about this, like he had a certain type of story he wrote and did it really, really well. The book
oh no, just the wording was much nicer. The way you're saying it, I said Michael Crichton has one fucking story. It's Westworld and Jurassic Park. It's the same
really
shit.
He writes a very similar type of story. Actually, the one book of his I've read is.
Don't you dare shit on timeline, sir.
What?
Don't you dare shit on timeline.
He's also Congo too. He wrote Congo.
Yep. And Timeline starred Paul Walker, you son of a bitch.
Congo actually has Bruce Campbell.
Well, but what I have to say for Michael Crichton and Timeline, it's a very gets very sciencey in it, but it's really easy to read. I mean, it gets very technical. But it really grips you. He has a way of just gripping you in with it. But it's amazing. Like that book's one thing. Jurassic Park ain't shit without John Williams in that set.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Like when you think of alone, Michael Crichton and his work has captured people's imaginations for generations, etc. Generation or two, you know. But it's amazing how much more this idea becomes when it's put into a film, you know.
Also, before we get too deep into this, can we talk about how this was like everything had the damn JP branded dinosaurs?
Oh my God.
Like I wasn't even into this stuff as a kid, but it was everywhere. The toys, the actors, they made Dennis Nedry look all buff and handsome. Jurassic Park, I mean,
shit like that. When you get
this is probably the biggest. Up until The Matrix, it's probably the biggest movie of the 90s, like in terms of importance.
Yeah.
Like it's groundbreaking. It changes the effects game. It changes the budget. Like it's I guess $1 billion picture for all the re-releases too. So like that, it took The Matrix to change the way we kind of see reality to change this or to see this, you know, be taken down a step.
Well, that's definitely a piece of it for sure. I to Jesse's point about it not being anything without John Williams, I think if you take away John Williams, you still have effects of dinosaurs that hold up today. So while John Williams is adding steak to an already delicious lobster dinner, it's still a lobster dinner because it changed how people made fucking movies. And obviously they took a lot of liberties, but it reignited the interest in paleontology. You know, it's kind of the same way that Indiana Jones did for archaeology. You know, the movie was a huge hit. So, you know, John Williams is what you do when you give a shit and you have a checkbook and you're like, yo, I'm gonna pay a motherfucker to do the right thing. But yeah, even if you don't have John Williams, you know, Jurassic Park is still Jurassic Park. You still have a perfect mixture of CGI and practical effects that changed how even to this day when they still refuse to do that shit, you know, people look to Jurassic Park and how you make a movie. So it's just, you know, top down. And obviously it went down with The Lost World, but we're not, you know, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, I have to say, I mean, let me pull it up here and let's see if I have it. Where is it? Here we are. I just want to pull this up because this is just the now defunct Jurassic Park ride from Universal.
Funny enough, this shirt is from the ride closures. This is the Road to Extinction shirt. They sold out after I think a week. I wore this shirt for the longest time, and then on top of that, I was actually one of the last people on the civilian boat for Jurassic Park the ride. So we were there the last day. I was lucky enough to be on the last boat. It's amazing. I took video of it. I got to still edit it all together.
This was mine. I got it in 2 cuts, but I got a pretty complete ride through.
Oh, you were there? Were you there?
Yeah, this is me.
Oh no way! We probably ran into each other.
Probably. But yeah, no, this was one of the last. This might have been the last day, if not the day before. So this was my little nod to it. So this is my favorite part. This was just so cool. Gonna come around the bend and to hear the welcome to Jurassic Park.
I miss it so much. I just miss that whole thing so much.
I gotta say, the mosasaur thing they put in is really cool looking. pause that right there just for a second. The mosasaur they put in the part is really cool, but this was just, I mean, even for what this is, an animatronic piece on a ride that just sits out in the sun and gets used day in and day out. The motion is incredible. The texture is incredible. I'll go forward because you get nice and close to the big Stegosaurus, and I mean, you just feel like you're in that moment in the Lost World, you know, when Julianne Moore is taking the photography. So they use, I think I say they use the little baby up over here.
Yeah, that's where the baby Stegosaurus. They reinstalled her, by the way. The baby Stegosaurus is back in the ride.
Yeah, she's back. But this, I mean,
yeah, that was a money shot right there.
It really looks so incredible.
Like here's the thing you can tell from this ride. Like Spielberg moonlit as a ride technician when he was working with Universal. Me and Arson did a whole breakdown about this, the ride in Universal Studios. And the pacing of the ride is just amazing. Like there's not a point where there's like a dead zone in the ride and you're just waiting like what's going to happen next. Versus when I went on Jurassic World recently, like there's huge chunks of that ride that are just dead zones.
Yeah.
And it I saw that and I just kind of looked at them like, what was even the point? Like, why would you even change this amazing ride?
Exactly.
You know, other than rebranding, you know?
Exactly. I can't think of a single thing on. Oh yeah, I love this. I love it when you. They have the little tag.
Mickey Mouse, the Easter egg right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think what's her name? Like Melody, I think is the name of the dead passenger. So it's and you actually, I still remember back when they would actually drop the truck during the ride. They haven't done that, and they hadn't done that in years beforehand. But that used to actually come down. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The pacing, everything, and part of it too is like they really just. It's almost like a paint over job where they built a new ride just over this one, and parts are even still the same. You know, you kind of still go through. This part's very similar, but then they stick the screens in with Chris Pratt talking to you and all that. And it's like, it's like when you rode this ride before, it felt like you were a passenger going through Jurassic Park, the park. Yeah. And now it feels like they're trying too hard to make you feel like you're in the movie. Whereas, like, that's Disney shtick. Disney wants to make you feel like you're the star of the movie. Universal was always really good at making you feel like you were riding along in the picture itself, or, you know, just a casual observer in the world itself.
Yeah, their phrase was live the movies.
Exactly. And I felt like this ride did that for you. Obviously, you can't see too much in the dark. It does that for you. But the new one is trying too hard to get you in the movie, and it doesn't do it fully.
I may have rode this in Florida in like 1996.
Probably, it's the same ride over there.
Oh, yeah, said I've never ridden it before, but I think I have.
Oh, yeah.
Because we did a Disney trip as a kid, and Universal was one of the days, and we stayed the whole day. So I probably rode this. Nice. I know we did Jaws and King Kong. Back to future stuff. So we probably rode this.
Ninja or Steve, anyone get in there?
Yeah, because. And that's exactly the same I felt. I mean, I haven't ridden it yet. I've watched videos on YouTube, but I just felt like it was kind of a patch, you know, like you would patch a game or something.
Yeah.
Ride, because looking at, you know, I grew up going down there to Hollywood, going on the ride, and like in its later years, I could tell it was kind of showing its age, you know, and something. And I thought, it's kind of what they did with the Jurassic World was like more like a refurbishment, whereas I felt like this thing needed an overhaul. So I kind of feel like they didn't do enough.
That is a spitter.
Doing it, because it's like you know, photos on Twitter showed us like a full size Indominus Rex, and yet.
Oh, pause right there, Jesse. Pause right there.
Yep. That's one of my favorite details.
Yeah, right there. That's the cryo can. Yeah, that's gone too. The Easter egg.
No, I noticed that.
But also before they built the ride, basically about the time right after they had released the movie, actually where the ride is now, they had a soundstage full of sets and I don't know, how do you do share screen? This little button.
Oh yeah, are you talking about the Jurassic Park exhibit?
Yeah.
I got to do that when I was younger. Yeah, it was amazing.
Let's see.
Was that the raptor?
Yeah, but you can hear it in the background. You red raptor.
Down, boy. Down.
God. It's such, I do love how they always treat the raptors with that. And again, there's certain things. There's some things like, they definitely go wrong at points in the Jurassic World movies. But I gotta say, people make the comparisons of the Jurassic World to the Disney movies. I will be the first one to say they did not go nearly as wrong with Jurassic Park as they did with Star Wars, because there are certain things they still honor from the originals in the new ones. They definitely get certain things wrong. They definitely think that they're being more clever than they are and think they can do it better than Spielberg and Crichton did. But there are certain things like that gravitas they give to, you put raptor in this? How could, like, the gravitas of the raptors, the power of the T-Rex, which, they even undercut themselves in Jurassic Park 3, as we talked about earlier, but always honor in the movies. So I'm always in two minds with them. Like, there are even things in Jurassic World. I love the fact that they have a little Mr. DNA pops up in a little point there. Like, I fucking love that. Little things like that where I'm like, you did that right. And then other things where I'm like, you did that not so right. So.
Yeah, I'm going to run real fast. I got to get my power cord. I'll be right back.
Tell me, can you see my screen?
Yes, Starfreak too, clearly. Starfreak is behind. That was your telling. That's where you are. Like, you heard this, DNA. Yeah, we're at the raptor enclosure.
Sweet pea.
Is this where they're giving the tour on the raptors and stuff? Have they fed them already?
I do occasionally have a craving to watch the third one, even though I acknowledge it's garbage.
Didn't we watch that on 4K before we watched this one, right?
No, we watched a lot. That's the only one now we haven't put on the 4K. We did watch it last year.
No rush. It's been recent enough. Look,
Alan.
It's good direction.
Alan.
Yeah, do you like this lawyer when he's a cross-dresser better in Miami Vice?
So who's a cross-dresser in Miami Vice?
The lawyer in this movie is the first episode
about Jurassic Park.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can never remember where I've seen him from, and he is. Holy shit!
Yeah, he's also Izzy.
Years of pressure off my chest.
There you go. I'm gonna do that for
my
you,
man,
buddy.
My man. Alan. Probably the worst scene.
I absolutely despise that scene.
It's so bad. It's like who?
I just, like, when I sat there, I was just WTFing the whole time at this whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, funny enough, like, people give the Alan scene in JP3 a lot of crap. Understandably, but we got the same thing in the Jurassic World. Like, quite a few of the raptors are.
Oh, the raptor bit is ridiculous in Jurassic World. Yeah, it's and again, it's, Jurassic World is definitely not as bad as 3. 3 is a beautiful dumpster fire, but at least in Jurassic World, the whole thing with what's Blue, whatever the hell the raptor's name is in World, where she doesn't listen to me. I listen to her, wherever the fuck that line is. It's just so ridiculous, And I like Chris Pratt, but like that whole, like, we need to have Chris Pratt have significance in this film. We'll make it where he is family with the Raptors.
I will say that about the second one. Because I said to Jesse, he felt like he wasn't up to his acting game in the first one, and then in the second one, he just felt like he was there because he's famous.
Yeah,
it's like
it's like
Han Solo in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. He's there. He has his fans. You're happy he's there, but you've seen him do more.
Because it's the kind of thing, even with the gimmick of getting them to, like, Bryce Dallas Howard's character. Okay, it makes sense that you would need to bring her because she has the access codes, and so she would need to bring the hacker and the vet to make sure that they can take care of the animals and all that. But, like, you have these fucking hunters and all that. Why do you need to bring the guy? Just track her down in a helicopter and shoot her with a dart gun. It's sort of shoehorned into it, and he really doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't serve much of a purpose in Fallen Kingdom anyway. Like, he gets him out of a couple scrapes. I'm sure he is.
I'm gonna look it up because I've heard. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard like the original cast is coming back for the next one, and they're not just like a cameo. They're like a part, like a big part of the movie. Like they're the story along with new people. So I wonder if they're gonna get pushed out.
it's one of those things where you can't really trust what Hollywood says because Colin kind of had the same sales pitch. Like when Colin did Jurassic World, the big sales pitch was we're going to have a lot of animatronics, and we didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then the next movie, he promised, like, okay, this time we're going to have animatronics, and we got them, but they weren't the Stan Winston dinosaurs, and you can see the quality control just drops. So when he says, like, okay, we swear, guys, we're going to have these actors, and they're not going to be a cameo, I'm like, you've already fooled me twice. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Well, they did that with Jeff Goldblum in Fallen Kingdom as well. They're, Jeff Goldblum's coming back, and not just a cameo. He's going to have a real role. It's a fucking cameo.
Bookends
Yeah.
it.
It's exactly. It's a bullshit
Basically,
role.
bookends it.
So,
Can I just say something about, how they say they needed a vet, vet quote unquote, because apparently, dinosaur vet who actually never had any experience with dinosaurs, according to herself, and also who thought for some reason, and somehow the movie decided that it's a good fucking reason to do that, to basically have a blood of a T-Rex to be transmuted to a blood of a totally different animal from a different fucking family. I mean, you might as well just grab a fucking chimpanzee and transmute it to me if I'm gonna be ever dying on my bed, God forbid. So I don't know what the fuck they were thinking when they were doing that. I'm sorry.
Both those movies, both those films have just gigantic holes in logic. I mean, even in fucking Jurassic World, hey, the military is going to try and take over velociraptors to use them, and then it's just like, what? I can't even begin to discuss how fucking stupid that idea is. Number one, number two, Vincent D'Onofrio is like, I refuse. No, listen, activate, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, nothing you said has worked. You need to go home because clearly you were the wrong motherfucker for the job.
There's something I like about that whole scene. Yeah, no, what I love about that whole scene is Vincent pets a raptor, and it wants to eat his face. And later in the movie, his bright idea is like, all right, guys, let's set them free. It's like, wait, what? No. Like, why would that be a logical choice, Vince? Like, I don't understand.
Because like, they were so committed. It kind of felt like with his character, they were so committed to him being the stereotype of what that guy is.
Yeah.
And all like the, John Hammond Jr. character and Lost World and all that. And they didn't actually stop to like think of the logic of his character. And I mean, really, like, honestly, it's kind of like what you guys say about let's have Chris Pratt in the movie. Like, let's all of that. And his character has to be written in to have a reason to unleash the raptors later. It's all this, like, we talk about this a lot, bad writing, where you have to write in all of these extra plot points to justify one or two things in your movie. Whereas a good movie, your single plot points justify everything that happens. What's up?
Ninja.
Yeah, because I heard rumor mill, that the idea with militarizing the raptors came from an old Navy experiment where they were trying to train dolphins for military purposes, and obviously that didn't work. But them trying to militarize the raptors, it's like what Jon Stewart said in Earth the Book. As soon as we made a scientific discovery, we immediately set about trying to figure out how we could use it to kill people.
Can I say something about militarizing the raptors? As a history fan and all of these things, basically related, I'll just tell you something like this. If these raptors were to face off against a unit of Imperial Roman legionaries, they would not be able to get close to them past the first volley of Pila. How do they expect them to fight modern-day military or terrorists at all? I don't understand that.
Right. It's
exactly
just that idea. Just kidding. Even then, that's just common sense. Like, yo, we have guns.
So
and like, what? Like, you're gonna try and train the raptors to shoot guns? Like,
or you're gonna use a flamethrower, and that's just gonna scare them off anyway.
Exactly what
they're not fighting. Like they pick off weaker animals. Like animals don't like hold grudges and shit. And like, hey, go do that, Fido. Okay, I'm gonna go do that. Wait, they're shooting at me. Do I keep going? Like, that's not a thing. They're gone. They're taking
It's
off.
like, you know how basically pike phalanxes, they stopped the cavalry not just because they were dangerous and pointy, but because horses would not want to charge at the pointy things, you know, because they know that it's basically dangerous. And that's how they failed. And that's kind of the same basic idea. They're not going to want to charge at something that's going to be obviously trying to hurt them. And once you start introducing modern day flamethrowers as well, that's like, oh shit, that's like fucking Dracarys over here. No, I'm fucking out of here, man. You know, like they ain't gonna be doing that.
So Ninja Lair Steve wanted to weigh in. Go.
Yeah, because that's basically like what you see in movies. I mean, they were obviously doing it long before Jurassic Park here, even though Jurassic Park continued the trend. And I've even seen people try to do this with real life dinosaurs. And it's this idea that dinosaurs are these unstoppable killing machines. Like nothing can hurt them. It's like, no, they are flesh and blood animals like anything else. And I mean, we've created guns that can take down, 6-7 ton elephants. And, it's like with dinosaurs, how do you know something like an RPK light machine gun or an M60 machine gun wouldn't be able to take them down or at least deter them enough? Or like, how do you know, because dinosaurs have to charge at you head first, how do you know spraying buckshot in their face isn't gonna
I'll give them
kill them or at least distract them long enough for you to make your getaway? And so it's like, and it's kind of like what AK says, it's like you don't even necessarily need guns. You could do this with ancient weaponry, spears, javelins, crossbows, whatnot, because again they are animals.
I'm actually going to take the side of the I'm going to take the side of the movies on this one, because we have used animals since forever for militaristic applications, and they continue to look at ways to use that. And actually, the primary barrier behind continuing to use animals for military purposes is ethical considerations. So introducing the idea of, dinosaurs, which we made them, we don't have the ethical considerations, we can use these for military purposes, actually does track. I mean, things like using dolphins.
You have to remember, one of the reasons.
Hold on. Where it falls apart for me is you have to justify what you want it for. Because using a dinosaur for a militaristic purpose is going to be something very specific. You have to justify exactly like you guys are making. You all make very, very valid arguments. So in order for the audience to buy in on we want this for military application, you have to give us that military application and have it make sense. And what they give us in the movie, just some pack predators tracking down a bigger predator, does not really have a militaristic explanation. So I do buy that people would want to use them for weapons. I do buy that there are applications where you can use them as weapons or for the military. I do not think the movie packaged them in a way that allowed us to believe that. Josh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. Like animals being used in the military, it's not even just a well-established historical trope. It's a movie trope. I remember watching a movie with Matthew Brodbeck called like Project X, and it was about training chimpanzees to fly aircraft. That's a real movie, by the way. But it meant to delve into the ethical questions about what are we using animals for with military application. So Hollywood has done this. It's a very tried true thing in Hollywood. I think what happens with the Jurassic Park franchise is the people that are writing the franchise now don't understand what the writing was previously, because the raptors are meant to present the folly of man playing God. Like the existence of a velociraptor, what its symbolism is this is a piece of nature man can't control. That's why they're deadly. That's why they're killing people. That's why they're the chaos factor when it comes to the park shutting down. Enter Jurassic World. If you take that element and you say, hey, we can train them, you completely invalidate what the symbolism of the velociraptor is in the entire franchise. It's like, oh, Blue is a puppy dog now. Cool.
Well,
I guess nature can be tamed,
Well,
one of those things.
Well, how about though? Here's a question to that point though. When you look at the domestication of animals, right? It only takes about a generation of wolves to turn them from wolves to completely domestic dogs. So, are you? Because this is maybe I'm giving them too much credit. I really do feel World movie. No, I really do feel like they tried to take some of the some of these quandaries that Jurassic Park gives us to the next level. Okay, what would humans do next? How would people try to toy with this next? What would be the next step? I don't know that they get it right. Now, I don't necessarily I don't know that I agree that raptors, the next step would be that they would become that docile or that trainable. That said, we do have a precedence in history of animals.
Well, just to be clear, just to be clear, again, I mean, you both have great points, but you're both wrong. So one reason is and this is just history in general. The reason why humans
eat you, man.
right. The reason that humans are the dominant species on the planet right now is because we learn, right? So it fails in Jurassic World because it's fucking stupid. And while the military has a history of doing dumb things, when they use animals, they weren't using them to like fight people. So in World War II, the Russians tried to train dogs to deliver bombs. That didn't work because they trained these dogs using Russian tanks. So when they tried to use them, the dogs went to the Russian side instead of the enemy side. So you're not going to see the military in the 90s trying to train raptors because they're like, yo, we've done this before. This is a terrible idea.
They were very
successful
to disarm land, to blow up land.
Right, but that's not right. That's disarming something. They're not training them.
No, they would train dolphins. No, they would train dolphins to swim into mines in the water to blow them up. The dolphins would blow up.
Right.
They had to stop doing that because of the ethical considerations. But with
my point is,
the military had great success with training them.
Right. My point is, the characters in that movie would know that, and to know that it wouldn't work. So they're not going to be like, yo, remember the dolphin things? We had to train them to go into the mines, and it killed them. So if we were trying to...
That was the idea. That was on purpose. The point is that worked. It was on purpose. That was the thing that did work.
Here's something I like.
Right.
We always talk about when sci-fi was written, and we talk about like the futures of like Star Trek is the 60s future. This is like 1989, whenever this book was written's future, and this world follows that timeline. My concern with all this is, in the real world, we've moved past the technological advances to where we would never. It's a regressive. Basically, we're watching this futuristic movie about a regressive technology that we pass beyond.
And here's what I'm trying to say: is I give the movies enough credit because I think they are trying to be the next evolution, but I also think they do fall short. Ninja Lawyer Steve, you've been waiting to jump in.
Well, two things. One, I can totally buy that they would try, militarizing dinosaurs and all that, just because, it seems like a crappy idea on, at first, doesn't stop people from trying. And, it's just, again, I've heard some...
Joe Exotic kept tigers as pets. Are we really questioning what people would do? Do we really not
putting them into a weapon?
I would love the Joe Exotic version of Jurassic Park out there. Really.
Do we not believe that people aren't going to try to train and utilize the dinosaurs? Do we like?
What did I say to you? Mike Tyson should have been in that.
Right, should have been in the.
Mike Tyson got a tiger and a weird exotic pet.
Exactly.
Playing a piano about raptors.
So that's like, I'm not disagreeing. I think that's sort of what I get at with these arguments. I don't disagree that these things are dumb. I think where I come from is I don't think that just because they're dumb, people wouldn't do them. I think that that's exactly why, like 100%, I believe people would do these things. These are idiotic things that I 100% believe people out there would do.
Look, if the Empire built 2 Death Stars, then I can believe that logic.
Fair point. That's a fair point.
Continue, please.
Yeah,
again,
there's definitely
Ninja Lawyer Steve's trying to get in. We gotta.
Go ahead, Ninja Lawyer. You try to get in here.
Like I said, it's just the idea of dinosaurs as being these unstoppable killing machines. I have seen a few times in real life. Dinosaur fanboys are the worst. And the other thing that I wanted to comment on was that movie Josh had mentioned. The chimpanzees and fighter jets.
Yeah.
Just sounds like someone watched The Wizard of Oz and thought, those flying monkeys are pretty cool. But you know what they're missing? Heat-seeking missiles.
Yeah. I will say real fast, because I get the point you're talking about, Jess, in terms of like what the new movies try to, what they try to entertain as far as like militarization of dinosaurs. It's a fun plot point. It's a fun movie on paper. I will say the reason why the writing fails, and I blame a lot of it on the writing.
Yeah.
And I will say the one reason the writing fails for me is there was actually a comic book series which delved into the militarization, or at least the domestication of velociraptors. It was called Raptors Attack. It was a comic book series released by Topps. And it was a far superior plot as far as the militarization of raptors. So that's the thing, like these new movies are always, just like the new Star Wars movies, they're always going to be in the shadow of their former films because the former films did them better. So if those new films don't reach that benchmark, we're always going to be criticizing it. And I think where Jurassic World falls short is because not only do we have movies that set the bar pretty high, we had comic books set the bar pretty high.
Yeah.
Like the comic books were writing it better than the movies.
I think that's a great point. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, like, as somebody who likes the movies enough, I thought Jurassic World was a nice evolution, like, from the first one to, like, to the point where it's like, I don't really ever need to see 2 and 3. Like, I don't, like, I know they have a story and all that stuff. But yeah, it's cool you can watch them as 6 movies, but I also think, like, you can cut those out and kind of just jump because what I said to you is I love the Jurassic Park story of them trying to control these, put in a park, people to go see a zoo of dinosaurs is an awesome concept. And then when it goes wrong and watches it break down. But like when it's like people going to the island for the nefarious purposes, I feel like the story kind of falls apart because it's like you have this great idea, and then like to expand upon it, it's like taking a great drink and just put a little more water and it dilutes it.
I almost, and I'm sure they like didn't want to follow the Lost World, as much. Like, I almost would have been happier if they did, if they were like, all right, fuck it, this guy's gonna make a private zoo, and then, but instead of that being the end of the movie, we actually got to see the private zoo finally actualize on the mainland and what that looked like, and then they could still end the same way with the dinos getting out into the world and all that. But
it looked cool.
But
right down the street.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm into a movie where we get to see the chaos of dinos unleashed in the world. But
that better be the next one.
But it's just I feel like you could have taken this. There's so many more things you could have shown us with that bridge movie of Fallen Kingdom, and they spent so much of it focusing on things that really don't matter for the Jurassic Park.
That's what that whole movie kind of felt like, was just kind of spinning your wheels. You had cool moments, like you moved a little bit, but overall you kind of it's a lateral move.
It really was just, the entire movie was just a vessel to get the dinosaurs onto the mainland, and the rest of the plot was just fluff.
Well, plus I think, the franchise, and again, obviously the new ones have made some serious bank, but your franchise would be a lot bigger if your writing didn't depend on people being unbelievably stupid. Like it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, yeah. I mean, people are dumb in real life, but like our entire franchise hedges on every sequel, people not learning from the previous, just continuously. And once you get down to where you're like, this is a fun universe where everyone's like got Down syndrome or something. It really makes it a different movie when you look at it from there.
Yeah.
Deep thoughts with Beyond Green.
Yeah, right.
You're not wrong though.
You're wants to have a go as well, guys.
Everyone's stupid.
I mean,
And like I said to you, it's hard to get invested in those people because they're so dumb. I cheer when everyone dies, even if they're heroes, and I'm like, yeah, fucking die, because you're.
I think one of the few franchises that set itself up for longevity after a big first hit really well, and Jurassic Park could have benefited from its model, is Mission Impossible. For all that Mission Impossible 2 gets shit on, it's the most essential movie for the Mission Impossible franchise being what it is, because it takes this espionage film that's from these TV shows that has a cultural place, and it becomes the culmination of what Mission Impossible meant. And then 2 doesn't try to follow that up at all. In 180, completely mindless action film that has some twists and turns and hallmarks of Mission Impossible, but even the genre of music changes. It keeps the theme, but it makes it rock and roll instead of jazz. And so it
thanks, John Woo.
Mission Impossible 2 lowballing you in that way is so critical for the franchise because Every movie after that is just an action movie of varying degrees of success and competition. But we are conditioned to expect that because of 2. If you constantly go back to Mission Impossible chasing the first movie, you'll never get it. That franchise would have fizzled out ages ago. But it can survive stinkers like 3 because it's just this fun action movie. It's Tom Cruise running around. Who's the new bad guy? Okay, Simon Pegg's coming back. Ving Rhames is coming back. We'll jump on board to watch this because it's not trying to be something more than what it is. So I think Jurassic Park goes wrong when The Lost World takes itself as seriously as the first one. If The Lost World, I mean, it's still a beautiful movie. The scenery is beautiful. The dinosaurs are beautiful. And I actually like it quite a bit. But it sets up your expectations, as, it was like Jurassic Park, but it's really not as good. It sets up your expectations for Jurassic Park sequels to chase the high of that first one.
Because finish your point.
I said, whereas if it maybe pivots to something like Jurassic World a little bit quicker, and I think Jurassic World even maybe something like that with a little more camper levity to let us know, okay, we're going to live in the same universe. We're going to live with the same dinosaurs and the same characters and the same ideas, but we're not going to take it as seriously. You open yourself up to not have to be, you're not carrying the weight of this franchise on your back anymore. You're just playing around in a sandbox in this world,
That's what I was going to bounce off of that too. Like the people, the human characters in Lost World and 3 and stuff just aren't. They're almost cliched stereotypes and boring. Like even like the generic scientist characters in this movie have character. They're all unique. They have it's great casting across the board. Even though I don't love Wayne Knight as an actor, it's great.
Samuel Jackson,
but the next one is Julianne Moore is a good actress, but she's not a well-written character. The daughter, that is why I think I like Jurassic World so much. Not because it's new and pretty. I just found each person, the human people.
I also think too in Jurassic Lost World, even though I like the daughter and Julianne Moore's character and all that, you also have 2 different stories. You're telling the story of Jeff Goldblum and his family and all that. I know everyone wants to get in. We'll get to you. Don't worry. You're telling the story of Jeff Goldblum and his family and all that stuff. And you're also telling the story of Vince Vaughn's character and them trying to subvert engine and all that. All right, AK, you first, and then we'll keep it around.
First, I wanted to ask, is it time to really rant yet, or are we still warming up? And secondly, I wanted to say that my man Ninja here has been waiting for ages to say something.
Okay.
But before I give the mic to him, please, I just wanted to say that I really, really do agree with Dion about the characters, because I cannot stress it enough. That the characters, especially in the sequels, they tend to be they have just taken a massive dump in the quality of writing, and there's just so many unnecessary, in my opinion, stories with the characters that just don't need to be there, and they just don't really do much. In the first movie, every character has a very strong role to play, and they have a clear purpose, and they fulfill that purpose, which is why they are very relatable. And even the fact that we have the kid characters in the first film, who we probably suspect are not going to be dying, they're, they still give us the sense of threat of some sort. We still feel for them. In subsequent tropes, when they start bringing back the kid characters, they became basically like the thickest plot armor, like literally the most immortal characters in the whole of Hollywood. Because at that point, you just cannot watch it anymore and take it seriously. It's just not possible. And then you have a biologist character in the latest installment, who thinks it's okay to take a different DNA of animals and splice them together because that's supposed to work. Then you got a guy who is a computer hacker who screams so hard that it literally made my ears hurt as fuck.
I got to say, though, you know what? That computer hacker character, people bitch about him a lot. He is one of the better characters in that movie because he steps the fuck up. Yes, he screams like a bitch all the time, but every time he needs to do something, he steps the fuck up. There's a dinosaur in your face, there's a dino in his face, he still hacks whatever he needs to hack.
He's not my worst peeve. My worst peeve are still the kid characters, and there are like the token characters as well that just like are clearly inserted there for no real reason. They just don't have a role or function to really deliver anything. I will say one thing, one of my favorite characters ever, and going outside, obviously, the very cliche choices like Ian Malcolm, Grant, whatever, Ellie, it's Roland Tembo, the hunter in the second movie. I fucking love this character. He's probably one of the best characters of the whole thing.
They give him so much depth. That's actually one of my biggest complaints about the movie is they undercut the biggest development point of his character by not what's that guy, RJ or whatever, his buddy,
Yeah.
his protege. They don't they really his Roland's biggest developmental moment comes at the end when he's you got your prize. What's wrong, RJ? He didn't make it, but they didn't. I feel like there's something got cut out. They left on the cutting room floor that establishes that relationship a little bit more.
There was a deleted scene with that, wasn't it?
No, yeah, there's a few deleted scenes, but I do want to give Ninja a chance to talk, and then I'll jump in real fast.
Yeah, Ninja. We interjected so that Ninja could get a chance to go.
Well, I mean, you can go first. I mean, at first I had something, then it kind of went going on, and then eventually I was just pointing at AK because he was sitting there queuing for a while. But I guess I'll just say real quick, again, kind of, I think why, Jesse was saying about seriousness and all that is, I think the reason a lot of people had trouble with the people trying to militarize velociraptors is because the series was still trying to be at least semi-serious. They weren't going full cheese with it. Like there was this old toy line, and I think there was a cartoon about it as well called Dino Riders.
Oh, I love that show. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Came to Earth, these guys who lived on another planet came to Earth and took dinosaurs back to use in their wars. But again, that wasn't kind of
Rulans all the way. Rulans all the way. Keep Rulan here.
Yeah, where they aren't, simply sticking dinosaurs on people. They were decking them out in armor and guns and rocket launchers. And so again, I think that's why people had the trouble getting on board with the militarizing of raptors, is because they just didn't really crank the cheese up to 11.
Well, I mean, at some point, it's like you got to make a choice, right? It's like either you keep it a Jurassic Park film or you just do Dino Riders the movie. Like
Right.
it's like moot.
Right.
I will say real fast to touch base about the Lost World. Again, Lost World is probably my favorite of the sequels. But I will say it also suffers from what every sequel in the Jurassic Park franchise suffers from, which is the writing. You have weak writing. You can even make a very favorable character into a bore. And I think that's what happened with Ian Malcolm. Ian Malcolm is to Jurassic Park probably what Han Solo is to Star Wars. Like, he's not the main character, but he's a very famous supporting character. And if you wrote him correctly, he would have a great, standalone series.
Yeah.
But if you write him incorrectly, you hate it. And I think that's what happened with Malcolm. Malcolm got the chance to stand alone as the lead character in his own movie. The issue came with the writing because they didn't realize Malcolm is there as the comedy relief. So as soon as you took that away and Malcolm is just terrified and he doesn't want to be there and it's all anxiety, you take all those favorable factors away from Malcolm. He's no longer your Han Solo. He's just kind of standing there.
Yeah.
The rest of the characters who are trying to be funny, they kind of suffer from like 50 Shades of Malcolm. Like they're all trying to be Ian Malcolm with their own Malcolmisms, but it doesn't work because we just see like, no, we know that's an Ian Malcolm mannerism. We all saw Jurassic Park 1. That's why I think a lot of the supporting characters in The Lost World and in every other movie kind of suffers because they don't take a point to make them their own characters. They don't make a point to make another female paleontologist. They try to do like 50 Shades of Ellie, or they don't try to do another paleontologist. It's like, no, this is 50 Shades of Alan Grant.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think we suffer with the sequels. It's like we never get those original characters. They're always like carbon copies of the, pretty much like the Star Wars series, like we have characters in there in the new movies that are just 50 Shades of pre-existing and established characters.
I mean, actually,
If only they could be 1/5 or 1,000th of a shade of those characters. I'll just say that. Also, hashtag we love Cara Dune.
It really did feel like almost they were trying to take that Ellie and Alan Grant relationship with the two side characters in Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's what they were trying to get at with those two. Oh, we're this.
Why not write them married? Like that race is so fucking much of that third one. Just make them together,
dude. Dion, my man, that pissed me off so much as well. I was
Funny
feeling
enough,
at this.
funny enough, if they married those characters, I would have believed 90% more of their arguments.
Right? That's the one thing Dominion has the opportunity to do. Dominion can finally get those two together.
I didn't get the point. Why did they make so much development with Alan Grant, with how he became, grew on the idea of loving kids and everything, and he kind of, got to this point. And then, of course, you have Ellie, who was trying to kind of be like, Alan, look, there are kids here, do something,
That was my very first complaint, even going into the Jurassic World movies, did the same thing from the first one to the second one. They rewound the relationship between Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt's characters to be exactly where they were at the beginning of the first one. I can't stand when movies do that. It's lazy writing. It's like, oh, you just rewound them so you can write the same arc because it worked once, it'll work again. It really is.
That's the thing. They broke them up for no reason at all. There was absolutely no reason for them to break up. Everything was going fucking great. So what's wrong? I mean, I don't know. What was it? Like, not good enough in bed or what? They didn't even explain why they even broke up or anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Velociraptor is a hard act to follow. I don't know.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Treat Sam Neill right. That's all I'm saying. Treat fucking Sam Neill the right fucking way. Plus, it just makes more sense. Like, then you have this weird, oh, babe, we didn't get married and fucking have kids, but we're still good friends, and I'm going to call you if I need you. Like, you can just have them be married, and it's his kids, and then
still do the same. And still do the same, yeah.
I'll tell you this much, like, already, better Jurassic Park 3 movie in the writing, Alan Grant and Ellie are married. Their kid grows up to be a paleontologist. Their kid ends up on the island. That's why they got to go on the island to save their kid. I just fixed your movie in like 2-3 sentences. That's already that's a more interesting movie.
Also, guys, look, am I the only one here in this room who is noticing something? Like, in the third film, there's a kid who got stuck on the island for how many, 4 or 8 weeks by himself without any understanding of anything, and somehow he lived.
Yeah,
like talk about the guy being basically cheater. This guy is a cheater. He was playing the God mode the whole time. I'm telling you, man.
I guess so.
There's no way he could just survive there.
That's the only thing that explains him outmaneuvering fucking velociraptors. Where we watched 2 fucking movies that they're like the greatest hunters on Earth, and it's like what?
Watching people watching these skilled experts, trained survivalists, trained hunters, trained dino experts all fucking lose time and time again when they go toe-to-toe with the dinos, but some little kid can totally go survival mode and just own shit.
Everybody knows
grenades and fucking Oreos or some shit, whatever the fuck he was eating in the can.
I'll say everybody knows a velociraptor's greatest weakness is a 15-year-old with a smoke grenade.
Obviously. Everybody should know that if you're going to get stuck on that island. So, AK, you said something about rant mode.
Yeah, I mean,
y'all got weapons.
I've got I had to pack my mace away, unfortunately, because I'm preparing to, move the home soon. So, but I've got my sword still. It's a replica, plastic replica.
Right,
thing, but you give. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, so we got swords now.
If you guys are gonna pull that, don't want to play.
Go on, get your saber? I think. Yeah.
When you said that, you getting up to the camera like that, I thought that was going to
we've got a Danax right there.
No, I think it's going to be Indigo's Montoya's saber, right? Is it the Princess Bride replica? I just want an excuse to see that sword. It's a beautiful sword. There it is.
There we are, yeah.
That's an amazing sword. Yeah.
That's what I call master crafted.
Dude, it was, man.
Look at Steve.
Yeah, is that a paddle? What am I looking at?
What am I looking at?
It's called the Thames Beater. It's a 5,000-year-old war club from England.
Whoa.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I was very afraid for a second. That's cool, though.
That is really cool.
Although it does come in handy on birthdays.
Yeah, it does.
I love it. I enjoy that a lot.
It kind of looks like a giant fudge bar.
Cat
Somebody
gets
get started.
stabbed.
Do you know what else really annoyed me about the latest films? It's how much they're trying to pander to nostalgia, but make it look so stupid at the same time. They're not actually really doing it well. Like you have this in the latest movie. I just literally I cringed so hard on this in Fallen Kingdom when they were trying to do the T-Rex doing the whole like scene, and they were just like so obviously trying to make you think, oh look, this is the same scene we've done in the first film, or this is the other scene we've done in this film, and it was just so obvious for posing, and it kind of removed the the X factor for me that these animals I think initially had in the first two films, which is why I actually prefer the first two films, because A, they are more consistent with everything actually, and in terms of what the world and the universe established, and B, they both actually have a different message which mutually kind of adds up to each other. Everything that is following after that just doesn't work, in my opinion. That's my opinion, but it's probably not a popular opinion. But yeah, it's just I just don't think it works. What do we have?
I just gotta read this. Best part of any Jurassic Park is when they realize they're in a bird cage. Go birds!
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They have these really nice scenes from there and then, and they kind of like all small bits that really look cool. But overall, the bigger picture just doesn't quite pull it through, in my opinion. Like I like in the 2015 film. Remember when the T-Rex was coming out of the dark? Like that was a really cool scene. But overall, the whole movie, they've done so many things that I think they just could, if they wrote better characters, and this is another thing that I think is important, write really good characters, and you will pretty much guarantee that you're going to have a good movie, because you have a lot of really well-written characters in really old films where, the effects may not be as top-notch, but, you still have really good story, and people still enjoy it. Star Wars is a classic example of that, in fact. So I just think that that's one of the things they should have done, and just feels like a missed opportunity, to be honest, because at this point, when Josh brought up his fan fiction, and I read it, by the way, I reviewed it as well, and I think that this would have made a much better third film, for example, than anything that they have put out, and it kind of really combines everything. And Steve, you wanted to say something?
To me? Oh no!
No, Steve. Yeah, because he has his thing up. I thought that he was going to say something.
No, I'm just.
He's just hanging out with his beating stick.
You're
Oh,
just
okay.
stroking that pummel, man.
Oh yeah.
I will say the earlier comment they mentioned about the birdcage. That's probably my favorite scene out of JP3 was the Pteranodon. That scene was amazing.
Dude, Billy Brennan should have stayed dead. That would have been so much better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. He was my favorite character. He was my favorite character of the whole movie. He was the only character that was actually good in this movie. No offense to Alan Grant, but his character was not done justice in this movie. I think Billy Brennan was the G of this movie, but he would have gone out as a G if he was killed, because he was actually, like it's like he got to realize his dream of being quote unquote the astronaut, who wants to go there to see things for himself, but he has to sacrifice his life to save the kid. That would have been really better. And then all of a sudden he's okay. And that just kind of really made me feel like, oh my God, come on. Like really, guys, not
with no explanation. He's just
yeah, exactly. How did he survive? There's no explanation at all.
He had to get Alan's hat. He clearly gave him his hat at the end of the movie. That was why he died.
The hat was found so Billy couldn't die. That's why he survived getting torn apart. Because the fucking hat is magical, baby.
Jeff just made a great point, dude. Do you want to make it? Yeah.
So we're just watching the scene where Newman got hit in the face with that acid spit.
Yeah.
A theme park full of dinosaurs that are genetically altered to be in a zoo for people to come visit. Why would they put that in the dinosaur that could hurt people? Like, it just seems like a really odd thing to leave in the animal when they talk about changing other elements of the animals to do all these things. Why put it's a zoo? Other reasons.
So there's a smart explanation, and then there's a Hollywood explanation. I'll go into both. So the smart explanation is in the books. I think they even touch up on it. When they first start cloning these dinosaurs, they don't know what these dinosaurs are capable of doing. So, like, let's say if you get the skeleton, if you clone a spitting cobra and you clone a regular cobra and you have no knowledge about cobras, you're going to assume, like, okay, well, if this cobra is going to act like that cobra, you're not going to know that one cobra has the ability to spit.
Yes.
So they explain that in the books. It's like, oh, Jurassic Park, we have animals that are extinct. They have defense mechanisms because of the ecosystem. So it's one of those things where it's like we cloned the Dilophosaurus. We had no idea it could spit venom, but we have them. So, and then Hammond is also like, we're rushing to get the park open.
But here's the thing. Here's why I don't buy it. Right. In real life, right? It's not humane, but they will de-skunk skunker. They'll take the skunker out of skunks to sell them as pets. Right, they'll take the teeth out of dogs, to avoid putting them down. You'll declaw cats, So even if that's the case, I can buy that. Okay, we couldn't control every little trait. I don't buy that you didn't pull the teeth, file the nails, remove the poison glands. They'll de-venomize, they'll cook snakes and shit like that. Like, I don't buy that they didn't murderify their murder animals.
Yeah, I want to say it's more into like economics, because you got to factor in like one clone dinosaur is upwards in the millions. So like, do you really want to risk losing $1 million asset because you want to try an experimental surgery that's never been done on an organism that's never been around to remove the venom glands?
Like, pulling teeth is not all that experimental. Like in declawing, like that's where it's like, it's.
Would you pay to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex with no teeth?
This is this is what coming in sci-fi though, where it always gets hairy for me. It's like, it depends how much of your movie you want to hinge on the science being sound, And so, like, Crichton certainly is somebody who's in his writing does a lot of that. And when you take it into Hollywood, when it becomes a film, you really have to decide how much of the science you're taking with it, and how much you're leaving behind. And if you leave behind too much, you can't hinge the story on the science anymore, because what you're asking us to believe breaks down. And while I don't have a huge problem with that and say this, this first one, I do think those are things that come into play as we go along more and more, where they want to get more science-y, or like whereas like Jurassic Park, as they go on 2 and 3, get further and further from Crichton. World almost feels like they want to try to bring science back in, but they don't really do it the right way. I've
always thought of Jurassic Park like Back to the Future. They have science, but there's more to the movie than just the hard science. So it's like, it's time travel. How does it work? This, that, and that. Yeah. That's it. This. How does it explain it in your little movie? Okay, cool. And then the rest is a fucking like escape monster movie.
We're like Jurassic Park. The book is sci-fi. Jurassic Park, the movie, is a thriller. An action, like an action.
I will say though that like the Dilophosaurus is a very neat, if you can really dig into like a deep dive with Jurassic Park, what the Dilophosaurus represents is kind of like your earliest indicators that Hammond and the team don't have control of the park. Mm-hmm. Because if you notice, like they use regular fencing on the Dilophosaur paddocks. And then they have a sign that says "Keep your windows up," and it feels like a tacked on, like, "Fuck, we didn't think this through. Here's a sign." So I think, and that's a credit to Spielberg, because he would do those little Easter eggs to show, like, okay, they built the dinosaur park. How in control are they? And then the Dilophosaurus is one of the earliest indicators that, like, no, they're not in control. They don't know what they're doing. They are trying to speed the opening day of this entire park.
See, that stuff I love. That stuff is really absent from the later films and a lot of movie making today. And that's what Spielberg brings to the table, and what makes him, someone who can adapt hard sci-fi in literature into something like this. It's those visual storytelling where I haven't even thought of or realized. It's so fascinating. I love hearing those kinds of details. That's how I love to watch film. But it's the symbolism where it's your visual pairing. You're telling a story not just in the words and the narrative and the plot, but in everything that you choose to populate the entire frame with. And that's something Spielberg, has always been very good with. He's always been very particular about what is in the frame for storytelling purposes, not for other filmmakers want to do it for artistry. Oh, it's got to look a certain way in this. Spielberg is always. I wouldn't be surprised to know that he is a student of Chekhov, in the sense that, like, you will always Chekhov's gun and Spielberg will always fire. He will never leave you hanging on one of those.
Ark of the Covenants.
Yeah,
the Ark of the Covenant.
exactly. And I think, and so, the Velociraptors is this big, great mystery in the beginning that we don't see, and their huge reveal at the end. The T-Rex being this contained creature and all the comments made about him not wanting to be contained, and then the explosiveness of when he's out of the cage. All that stuff really is and it goes a long way to getting through some really heady content. That's something I think that Michael Crichton has a really great baseline for in his writing, and Spielberg is the perfect vessel for in film, of taking very heady, complicated concepts and packaging them in ways that are comfortable for any audience member.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Have we already had the line from Malcolm where he goes like, "Well, there it is"?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's.
I think it's already been past that, hasn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's somebody looking at the eggs.
Yeah.
I love Malcolm's lines. This is one of the coolest things, and the contrast between how he was portrayed later versus in the first film. In the first film, it's like everything he says is just like a quote, basically. Yeah. It's just everything he says is a quote.
Yeah.
And I really, that makes sense with everything you're saying about he should not have been the main character. He's really there so that every time he opens his mouth, he's the zinger. He's the cynical point of view. And when you try to make the movie through his lens, you really lose the point of view in the Lost World, because you can't tell the whole movie through his eyes. You'll lose all the majesty and the beauty. So we pop around from seeing the dinosaurs through Julianne Moore's eyes, or the kid's eyes, or the hunter's eyes, and you lose sort of the focus and the point of view that's made much more clear in the way they choose to tell story. I think they're going for that same kind of storytelling in the Lost World, with having these more specific point of view characters that you then really lose later, but they just don't. They lose the specificity. They lose the point, because they're wrapped up, like you said. Everybody have their quick moments and their comedic relief.
Not only that, but you just reminded me about the deleted scenes for the Lost World, because I totally forgot that was a plot point we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
With Roland Temple and RJ, there are scenes that were that kind of cemented RJ and Roland's relationship, as far as they're hunters. They went hunting together. They've survived a lot of stuff out together. And it is RJ that convinces him to go on this whole expedition. And they included one of the deleted scenes in the DVD. I believe it's the director's cut, where there's an extensive, Roland fights a guy at the bar. And with his arm tied, and RJ even tells him you thought that guy for no reason other than you were bored, So, but right. It's a little piece of dialogue that's integral to that character's development, because even I believe Nick Van Carr asks him later, why are you here? And he tells about this whole story about the man that climbed Everest to live, even though he knew he was going to die. And then finally, one scene that they did delete, which kind of cemented why Roland was so devastated when RJ died, was RJ follows the group into the long grass.
Yep.
Where we have this whole reveal finally, where are the velociraptors? They're the velociraptors.
It says not to go in, too.
Yeah, and it's I believe it's in the junior novelization of the book, which is usually a junior novelization as a summary of a movie that's released. But they include that deleted scene where it's this one lone shot of RJ alone in the long grass, and you just see trails of raptors coming at him from all ends. And there's this scene where he just closes his eyes and he just accepts his fate. And it was just such a powerful scene, and I was expecting, because I read The Lost World.
I think I had that junior novelization, because when you described the picture, I was I remember that. I used to do all of those kinds of books when I was a kid. Oh.
And I was eager to see that when the movie got released. So when we got the movie and it was heavily edited, and never mind that it doesn't even follow the book, that was the one scene I was looking forward to. So when I didn't get that, which would have added so much weight to Roland's final line where he says, "I spent enough time in the company of death." That, there's so many things that could have elevated that character, but instead it kind of got spliced in because we needed more shots of Kelly doing gymnastics, kicking raptors. So
I do like it. I actually, for her, it's the kind of thing where it's I don't need her to be there in the first place, because she's there. I like what they do, and I think she is written to the best of her character. I just didn't need her to be there in the first place. But
yeah, she's written better in the book. I will say she's definitely written better in the book.
I also like that as opposed to the first one where the kids are. I mean, I think growing up, that's why I always liked The Lost World better, because I just hated the kids in the first one, and so I always liked Kelly extra because of how much these two pissed me off. So Kelly just felt competent as compared to the other two who were along for the ride and so excited about the dinosaurs and were just fucking screaming and pathetic the whole time. Kelly shows up, doesn't know what she's getting herself into, but sort of goes and does things and then steps up and has a moment, and it's cute. So I prefer that to fucking what's her face screaming like a nut job.
And the one Lex, it was Lex who, and she also forgot to turn the lights off, or simply just dip it. Just dip it.
Right? Yeah, they just turn it not in its fucking eyes. Like she's so. I hate her. I think that's part of it too. Is like the female character in this one is the absolute worst one. She's so insufferable, and so to have a girl character that didn't suck in the second one, as a young girl when Lost World came out, those things do. People talk about roll calls and this and that and the other. Doesn't fucking matter the color of her skin. Having a girl character that wasn't a stupid vegetarian who screamed and was a bitch, but was fun and wanted to do things and could actually kick her out in the face was a lot more palatable at that age.
I'd say you would hate my fanfic though, because it does follow the adventures of Lex Murphy.
But except that she's the complete opposite at that point.
No, she's an adult. She's an adult.
She's like a proper adult.
Does she start eating meat? That's what I want to know.
I don't dive into her dietary restrictions.
I know it's really bigoted of me, but I just personally find it very difficult to get emotionally invested in anybody who's a vegetarian or a vegan.
Funny enough, I don't think she was in the books. I think that was a Spielbergism that she did
think so,
just to kind of give her some kind of character quirk. Because we knew like Tim was there.
Becomes the meal.
Yeah, it's ironic because she's the meat of the rap. No, but I think it's because Tim had a character quirk. He was a dinosaur buff, so obviously he's there. He has his character. Lex was definitely the tag along. So I think it got to a point where Spielberg was just kind of fishing, like, what's a cool character quirk? Vegetarian, cool.
It was also the 90s, so everybody had to.
Yeah, I know it was the 90s. Yeah.
And,
vegetarian.
Thank
you for the super chat, guys. If you're drinking, that's a big old.
I wanted to address one of the comments. Somebody asked me there a question where I got this sword from. So I'll do a brief story. It's very simple. One day, a long time ago, when I was still in college, I was about 20 years old. So that was about 16 years ago. We were doing a Halloween party, and this sword is actually one of the friends from college. And he was dressing up as the Lord of the Rings ring race, which is what it's for. That's the prop. And somehow I ended up holding on to it, and he never took it back, and I just held on to it for 16 years.
Nice.
That's basically what it is.
Look at you. And I think, hold on, let me see. Doug was holding something up a minute ago. Can you stop this? What were you holding up a minute ago?
Holding up what?
I know, you were holding something up a minute ago.
Holding something. What was I holding? No, it wasn't the axe. It's the club. I mean, what was I holding? Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever. And also, I'm supposed to remind you guys, because it's my job, to press the like button. Oh shit, we got over 100 likes.
I'll tell you something. Press the like button, or else have a limp dick syndrome at the end of the year, and whatever the female equivalent of that is.
That's what happens. It's like
that's what happens if you don't press the like button. So press the damn like button.
I got the deadliest weapon of all, guys.
Hi, kitty.
Oh, hello.
No, he doesn't want to be in. Okay, run free, child.
I know this wild animal. I cannot be contained. None of ours are in reaching distance.
Yes, if I can't control my cat, like, how can I ever wish to control a velociraptor?
Fucking Topanga, I tell him like down. He looks at me. He's like, I know what you want me to do, and then he jumps up on the shelf and throws something in my face. Mom, it's time to get up and feed me. Topanga, it's 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Yeah, it's time to get up and play. It's 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday. It's playtime. It's hungry. You disappear into the hallway.
That's what I was like, shit, these know. I always see shit.
They know. They always know.
Landon's probably
Stan,
calling.
you can keep your cats.
Right, Jin
I'm a
is
morbidly
there.
obese quail.
I can't see them.
Oh, found Lando.
Oh, good. All of a sudden,
There you go. Found him. Located all of the babes. That's important.
Dinosaurs and cats. You know, it's the perfect duo. There's a reason why the T-Rex ate a dog in the Lost World. They wouldn't be able to coexist.
I kind of felt bad for that dog because, you know...
I felt so bad for that dog.
Dude, I mean, it was bad enough that it was quite a memeable scene, actually, when the Rex was drinking, and it was like just, you know, taking a sip after sip, and then the dog kept barking, and it just went like, ah, and the dog just went...
He didn't even say, he just looked at him, and the dog was like,
the Rex actually barked. The Rex had that really funny kind of barky kind of like that sort of noise, and that's after which the dog just ran off.
Right after I saw that movie for the very first time, I had a nightmare that I was in my bedroom, which was on the second floor, and the T-Rex was looking at my window. And I was terrified because I was always like, oh, it's second floor. I always felt safe on the second floor because like nothing could get you. Not fucking T-Rex. I'm like, God damn it.
I had a similar fear from the movie Starship Troopers, and then I realized they were fake. And I never had that fear again.
I used to have a recurring dream that I had a pet T-Rex, and then it killed my brother, and then I didn't have that dream anymore.
There's a T-Rex movie with Denise Richards that came out right around the time of this.
yeah, Tammy and the T-Rex.
It's classic. I've never seen
I never
it.
saw it, but I heard it.
Oh, you have to. They've released an uncensored version, so it's actually gorier than the one that actually got released in the 90s.
Oh, good. Then I need to see that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's more hilarious.
You guys read the Amazon reviews for the dinosaur porn books? This is the best. It's something. It's like Love of the T-Rex or something like that. It's the reviews of the book are the best.
What's it called again?
I just try like Love of the T-Rex or something. I don't know. My husband asked me why I like this book so much, but I told him to shut up and put his arms back in his sleeves. Great. Apparently, it's just this like 40-page, like 40 or 60-page book that about some cave woman who fucks a T-Rex.
Taken by the T-Rex, a dinosaur erotica.
Yes, taken by the T-Rex.
All right,
Dinosaur.
so hold on.
Oh my God.
There are those that have desires locked away from the
No.
They're forbidden pleasures hidden away from those who could never understand their excitement. They dream of domination, not from normal men, but sentient beasts whose power knows no bounds. They dream to these creatures' wills and have their fantasies play out under the watchful eye of these fantastical beings. These stories are for them to help them delve deep into their passion and experience the true bliss that is their fantasies. Taken by the fuck is a 10-year-old erotica bundle featuring stories written by the mistress of monster erotica, Alara Brainwen. And Crichton.
There's a mistress of monster erotica. That's all I took from that. There's an existing mistress of monster erotica.
I could get this for free with Kindle Unlimited.
You should.
Let's take a look inside real quick.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Much like life, fucking finds a way.
Yeah, there you go, folks.
Life finds a fucking way. That's
Here's
for
the
sure.
cover.
That's amazing. That's like
that's
a
Papal.
dinosaur.
He's got like
That's
got like
just-
the slave Leia look to it.
This is clearly a tool.
Oh, God.
All right, so over the years, Maria has become used to the routine. And sorry, I gotta get some better context because that's out of the way.
Something sexy for this. Oh, look, it's that log that they went back and bothered to destroy in Jurassic World because apparently this log is now an important. That's the shit that's always weird to me with movies where it's like, it's a log. I get it. It's still there in the valley in Hawaii. You can go see it and all that shit. But like, why do we need to revisit this log in Fallen Kingdom? That was like a weird choice to me.
Because it shows that like the movie has no substance. Like Arson said, it leans so hard into nostalgia. It's almost dependent on it. Like if there's nothing, the same reason like we saw the fallen Jeep Explorer with Blue, that's pure fan service. Like that has nothing really to do to further the story context. It's just there for like, oh, see, it's Jurassic Park. Don't you remember the thing you like? You know?
I know, too. It's weird because in the first one, it felt like they got it right, but in Fallen Kingdom, it felt like it was hollow. Like in the first one, oh, okay, they're in the thing. They fixed the Jeep. They bothered to throw in a line out. Remember, we fixed up Grandpa's car. Okay, we have context that kids can fix a fucking car so that we can watch them drive the Jeep. I'm fine with that. But then, and like I said, Mr. DNA, the John Hammond Pavilion, little things, little nods like that, bringing the T-Rex out. Okay, these all felt like they were trying to honor the first one, and then Fallen Kingdom happens, and it feels like these just bullshit. The same. Oh God.
Bless you, or was that a joke?
The same way that you're like, Ian Malcolm's gonna be back, and it's 5 fucking seconds. It's like, oh, nods to the old ones, and it's these cheap hollow,
Guys, ready?
Go.
No.
Bring it on.
All right, Theon, this might need to come back on the podcast. Ready?
Oh shit.
Jim sat down in the stands. The creature now had its firm, thick cock inside Maria's pussy. She whipped a net to a baseball bat and it stretched her wide open. It made her thighs ache. I can't. I had her pussy tight with each thrust. She couldn't say it hurt as much as it pleased her, hitting all the right spots as the creature continued to push upwards, forcing itself deeper into her sweet sex.
Oh my God, they're flocking this way.
That reminds me of that bad joke in Friends. I don't know if any of you guys watch Friends, but there's a joke where Ross is someone hacks his high school reunion and it says, "I have sex with dinosaurs," and then Ross later explains, like, "I would have to have a dick the size of," it's not possible.
Oh my God, nobody said the dinosaurs were gonna feel it.
Right. Well, the humans won't feel it because they're dead. Like, as soon as you attempt that, you're dead. That's the moral of the story.
Reminds me of my favorite shirt that I own. It's How to Punch a Bear. 1, find a bear. 2, make a fist. 3, die.
Yeah, right. Yeah, how to have sex with a dinosaur.
Becky Embers Thusly. Becky Embers is a beautiful woman who writes beautiful erotica. She is better than Dino Corn.
Dino Corn.
Well,
oh man,
I'm still contemplating, like what the fuck did I just hear back a few moments ago that Jeff was reading? Like, what the hell was that craziness? I'm not gonna be able to get this out of my head for a while now, unfortunately.
Buy your copy at www.fuckthisdino.com.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
The 9-inchosaurus.
We're gonna get the Schlongoceratops up here right in a second. It's called a 3-horn for a good reason, baby. We can do this all night. I'm not going to.
I mean, you don't have anywhere else to be. So.
Man.
Actually, technically,
this is kind of fun. I was hoping to get to drink though.
Yeah, right. Send super chats. We need to drink more. We're just gonna start cheating.
I love the fact that the bit about the dinosaur stretching her out is while Laura Dern is sprinting in the fucking forest.
I mean, jumping over a log, it's all symbolism.
Yeah.
Princess Leia can't teach you how to do that shit now.
Yeah.
God.
Oh man.
Oh, I wish that kid just died on the fence. I wish he got electrocuted.
The one that got electrocuted, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I will say that was like the best dad joke ever. Where he walks up to the fence, he's like, "Ah!"
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts.
I love that.
That
was funny.
The most dad thing ever. And then that dude still hates kids apparently in the next one.
Yep.
Yeah, somehow that's a thing. Talk about
You
good
don't
writing.
make that level of a dad joke and then not have kids. Like you've stepped into the dad realm. You've accepted the powers of the dad cosmos. You need to fucking marry Laura Dern in the sequel. God damn it!
Yeah, that's the dad gauntlet, right? That's like, like
I think
put on the gauntlet.
I think the real problem was that Alan Grant got transported into the future. He did not press the like button of this video, and he got a limp dick, which is why Ellie dumped him, and therefore that whole thing never worked out.
Wow.
That sounds completely 1,000% logical. That tracks 100%.
That tracks.
Definitely tracks.
Some good
So
writing.
you better press the like button, guys, if you haven't already, and if you're just tuning in. So,
Hey, what's up, D2?
I
oh,
did.
hello. Oh, hi.
We're gonna make you wave, I swear.
Hey.
Tell them how, damn it.
Do you want to see the wavy pen trick? Ooh.
Stop that. You stop that right now. You're frightening that child.
It's okay, son. He was born like that.
Hi, Dion.
Hey, Dion.
Look, he's got moves. He's got
Oh,
moves.
yeah. Here we go.
There we are. That's what's up.
They're flocking this way.
If D2 were a dinosaur, which one would he be?
He's definitely a raptor.
That's a lot of raptor energy.
He can open doors too. So I'm doing something right.
That's good. That's good.
Do you know, if I could be any creature from the age of the dinosaurs, and of course I'm not picking any specific time periods, just to keep it simple, I would actually prefer to be a non-dinosaur, specifically one of the big pterosaurs, so I could fly.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be pretty dope to fly in that sort of world, and probably safer than being on the ground as well.
Probably. That's probably your best bet for survival and finding like places that that you're safe from being killed in.
Yep. So long as there's no storm, you can just camp on a cliff side somewhere and nobody's gonna get you.
Well, mountaintop, like those, like Kevin and Up.
And you get a nice view.
Squirrel.
That is a great movie. I gotta
That
say.
is a great movie, yeah.
One weird comment to make about the new ones. I know they shoot outdoors and stuff, but these ones still look like more realistic. Like they're actually on a location, even though they go to the same location.
I
I guess
know.
it's just the way it's shot.
Yeah.
ENR and the stuff like that. This
Maybe.
feels like you're there with
Yeah.
them, and the other one just feels like you're kind of watching along as a ride.
It's kind of like it's almost like in some cases with shooting, like we've gotten to the point where it's. You know what I think also it is too? I think everybody is too clean in the movies.
Yeah.
Like even when they make them look dirty, they look stage maker. I think some of it's like Bryce Dallas Howard is so fucking put together from the beginning that it's like, oh, a little splotch of dirt on her head or her little moment with the shirt.
The thing about her as an actress, if she's not put together like that, shit's really weird.
That's true.
Like that's
very
kind
true.
of the thing. Like she has to, or else she does not look. Like Lady
But
in the
even
Water, she plays
everyone, like,
other.
even like Chris Pratt's character's not that dirty. Like Ellie
His
Souther's
mustache is the dirty
dusty.
thing about him.
Ellie Souther's fucking dusty from the beginning of the movie all the way
It's
through.
because Blue trusts him.
Her hair's actually messy. I think it's all the way the beauty standards are today now too. It's like you can't have actually thinning, crappy Sam Neill hair. You have to have attractively mussed Chris Pratt.
Dude,
hair.
Samuel L. Jackson's got like this part of his hair fucking gone.
Yeah, I know.
And he's got a prone wall. There's his arm, but you know.
I think it's
Arm just on the shoulder.
Yeah.
loved him now.
I will say, like that's an important detail. It's definitely something that you see director to director, because when you see when you see Joe Johnson take over for JP3, that's where you see the characters kind of look a lot cleaner. Like Leah Peone, she doesn't look that dirty. Alan Grant doesn't look that dirty. The kid maybe looks dirty, but it's like a parka he throws off and he's clean again. You know? So I want to say it's definitely how the director shot the film. Like, you just can see that there's a director that knew what he was doing.
Tell him, Blue.
Nice. That's a great toy. I wish these things were out when I was kids, man.
Right?
What's so cool now, man?
Seriously,
My parents would probably murder me if I was running around about this one because I'd be doing it like crazy.
Clever girl.
That's so cool.
one of the cats is scared of this one. She can't be friends with it. She Pancake went out into the hallway yesterday to go say hi to the neighbor's dog because he likes dogs.
Yeah, I want to say the best, one of the best toy lines to come out of Jurassic World are definitely like the Dino masks.
Yo, yeah.
Even the less expensive ones, but they cover your whole head.
Yeah.
Like those are really cool. Like the T-Rex one is cool. The Raptor one's cool. Even the Indoraptor, I think they made one for the Indoraptor. That's a cool mask.
Yeah, and this one's cool, like with the nicely adjustable. And it was like, I don't know, it wasn't that much. It was not an expensive, $40 at Target. So
Paying Target prices.
oh yeah. But it's nice. We've had a lot of fun with it. So that's been one of my most used Christmas gifts so far. So definitely got a lot of fun out of that. You know what? Also, I think a lot of the other movies lack, all of them really. They don't have the quiet moments that this one does. That this first one does. You know, these like the really truly reflective moments. You know, they package all of Bryce Dallas Howard's reflective moment into like that 2 seconds with a button. In this, you know, it's like you don't have. There's a lot of moments in this one where different characters, different points, just get to sit with what's happened and sit with their part in that. And the later ones, even this from Lost World on, really, you don't have as much of that.
It's like they were trying to pack it with a lot of action all the time in the later films because they thought that was the only thing that was going to get into it and everything. But remember in the first film how they had this really nice scene of dialogue between Ellie and Hammond, which was basically the reality check for Hammond, where Ellie just totally destroyed him. And the other bits as well, where you had kids with Grant up the tree, there was that one. There were... probably a couple more, you know, of course, Malcolm being very nice mix of comic relief, but he also dropped a lot of truth bombs, which didn't immediately hit you until obviously they started coming to pass, and that's kind of where you know he was right. He had been right all the time. And there's that thing as well. Oh, what's going on?
Well, they kind of have
the flea circus scene.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did anybody else, as a kid, find this scene where they were in the visitor center when the raptors were behind the window and the girl was holding the jelly and was like,
"We just get that scene." Yeah.
I really found this scene terrifying for some reason, and then of course the kitchen that followed up was just amazing. And when they were trying to use the stuff to distract the raptors and the mirror trick as well, that was quite cool.
Oh yeah. Sorry, as you were describing it, it really was making me think. That's how the movie's paced, where it's every time it ramps up, it gives you a moment to stop and digest. Okay, so the cars are broken down, and you have the moment where Malcolm is explaining to Ellie, you know, chaos theory and all that. Okay. You have, even before that, even before they go out, you have the moment of the raptor cage and then the lunch afterwards discussing what it all means. So every time you have something new happens, you have a moment where the characters get to stop and process, and it gives the audience time to process what everything means. Whereas the rest of them, they're just attracted to the action, so they just want you to follow that along. Can you hear the raptors?
I could hear the raptors barking.
Or it's calling for help.
What is that, Blue? What is that? The kids are in the kitchen, girl? Let's go.
We're getting fast food, Johnny? Cool, let's get it.
The way they unveiled things in this too, as long as they haven't figured out how to open doors, and then the cut to the door opening, like just the pacing, the commentary, like the way they could make a joke like that, but it's also adds to the suspense, you know?
Yeah.
It's something too. another thing I think the later movies really don't have as much of is suspense. It's a lot of action, and it's hinged on the fact that we already know the dinosaurs are scary. So so deal with it, and then they're going to pop out, and you know that's your suspense. Whereas this really takes the time to set the stage for all of that.
I want to give props to the second movie for two scenes specifically that really impressed me, and both of them coincidentally happen to be the T-Rex scenes because, well, first of all, one T-Rex is trouble, then you got the double trouble because that's a mating pair, which was amazing because I love that they decided to introduce, the male dinosaurs, and because the male T-Rex was green, and green is my favorite color, so green T-Rex is therefore my favorite combination. That's the first one. Secondly, remember the trailer scene when when Malcolm does this whole "Mom is very angry" thing, and then their heads start showing up, and I loved how they were just standing there, and when the dad T-Rex just starts basically growling at them, that's when they all started screaming like they're crazy, and that's the bit where I think I was kind of getting like, oh, yeah, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And the second one was on the campsite. Remember when the T-Rex head got inside the tent?
And that's a great scene.
That was fucking terrifying as well. I absolutely was sitting there like, hey.
That's one of my favorite little moments too. Like the way to splice. That's something that I thought the second movie did well with the first, is splicing horror and comedy together. Like the moment where Dr. Burke, the fucking dino doctor, is so afraid of a snake that he runs for Tyrannosaurus Rex. The little moments like that, really, that's where you want it, like you're recoiling because you're seeing the blood dripping down the waterfall, but you're also laughing because of the hilarity of the situation. Ninja Lawyer Steve, jump on in.
Yeah, that paleontologist was based on this real life paleontologist named Robert Bacher, and in this History Channel special back when it was the History Channel, he talked about the two movies and how in the first movie T-Rex kills a lawyer, spits it out, whereas in the second movie, the T-Rex eats him, doesn't spit it out, and that's when Bacher proudly proclaimed, "I am more palatable than a lawyer."
I never knew that, but that's a great fun trivia.
Hilarious. I love that.
I will say real fast, as far as comparing the book with the novels, the novels with the movies, a lot of those scenes, specifically that waterfall scene, I believe that waterfall scene, I might be wrong, but I think it's from the original book. I think it's from Jurassic Park 1, that waterfall scene where the T-Rex has the tongue and it's licking the kids. I believe that's originally because they run into the T-Rex while it's asleep.
Uh-huh.
And funny enough, even the ride is also another excerpted scene from the book, the whole river raft scene where the T-Rex is chasing them in the river. That gave birth to the ride. But prior to that scene, I think the waterfall scene from Lost World comes from the Jurassic Park book.
Marv Alice, thank you for the super chat. I was today years old when I learned the dad T-Rex was green. # color.
Oh. Very cool.
Speaking of, I've got this is a Japanese, I don't know if you can see it, manufacturer, Kyoto, from the Lost World Jurassic Park figure series. So as you can see, it's very green. And the other one, it's from the same movie. It's a Parasaurolophus during the scene that basically when they were trying to capture all these dinosaurs in the bikes and all these cool vehicles.
That's such a fun scene for this. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll bring them back up.
Bring them up. Yeah. Nice. Very cool. I had something I was gonna say about something. I had a thought. It was important. It wasn't that important, but it was something I was going to say next, and I was like, and then it just brain. All right, Ninja Lawyer Steve can say something instead.
All right, I found my pictures from the old Jurassic Park expo. If you guys want to see them.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can do this share screen thing.
Raptor scream. I feel like that should be the drinking game, right? Every time we hear the raptor.
Oh my God, I'll do it for that. Every time the raptor makes
raptor scream.
Can you see it?
Okay.
Rapping noises, 100%. Oh, I remember. Did anyone ever play the game? It was for Xbox, the original Xbox, Kung Fu Chaos. Anybody? Kung Fu Chaos?
Oh no, I don't think I played that. No.
It's a hilarious game. The reason I bring it up is it had really cool stages. It was going for the Smash Brothers kind of moving. I think it came out around the same time Melee came out. So the way Smash Bros introduced like the moving stages, it was going for that with this. But you were like kung fu style characters. You were making a kung fu movie. That was the premise, but it was just a fighting game. So one of the stages was a Jurassic Park one, and there was a nod to the river ride with to the raft with the Tyrannosaurus in that video game, which I thought was so fun. All right, so Ninja Lair Steve, what do we got here?
Oh wow!
Can you see it?
Oh,
there we go.
Yeah. There we go.
Whoa!
Like I said, it was all like props and sets from the film.
Yeah.
They had on display in the soundstage. Like there's the Dilophosaurus. Here's
the computer terminal. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
That's so fun.
Triceratops. It didn't move, but if you pushed a button, it roared.
Ha! Did we ever find out what made that Triceratops sick?
Did we find out what?
We never find out in the movie, do we? What made that Triceratops sick? Do we?
They allude to it. It is fleshed out in the movie and in the books, and then in the comic book they do explain it as well.
Because I just remember in the movie, she says she doesn't find any of those berries in the droppings, so then she's going to go back to the lab with them to try to look at more stuff. But
yeah, so if you want the explanation, I can give it to you.
That actually, Raptor's cool as shit.
Yeah, that was a great photo op. I have some photos from that thing too.
Wow,
you haven't seen photo op.
Yeah,
like, here we are. Because I was 6 when this movie came out. But this isn't the ultimate photo op, because you see another one of the sets they had was the lawyer's toilet. And you could get your picture on it. Here is 60-year-old me on the lawyer's toilet.
Oh my god, that's so cute!
That's awesome.
Oh, back before you were a ninja or a lawyer.
Yep.
Or Steve, even.
Back when fanny packs were in style.
I remember those days. I had a few myself.
So the explanation for the sick Triceratops, the way it works is they had something they showed in the comic books, the tops related to the comic book series for Jurassic Park, and they note that Triceratops and other herbivores that were discovered that they would actually swallow stones to use to grind up plant material, and then you would find those stones in their droppings. So in the comic book, Tim actually discovers these stones in the Triceratops droppings. And I forget if it's Ellie or Ellen. They basically put 2 and 2 together. It wasn't that the Triceratops was eating the lilac. It was that he was eating the stones, which had residue from the lilac. And so because it would eat the stones to help assist with digestion, the residue from the lilac berries were kind of on the stones, and therefore that's what was making them sick.
Gotcha. This is actually
like you had a deep dive. You have to dig deep to get that explanation.
I know that. I'm wondering if somebody once a long time ago might have told me that, because I had this thought in my head where I was like, but I thought it was the lilac after all.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe once a long time ago someone told me, so I remembered that, like, the conclusion. I'm glad I knew that, though, because I kept going back to that the past couple times I've watched this movie. I kept thinking, like, wait, we never do find out what does. So good. Brian McCann, this is a great question actually for everybody. They both exist, so if you have to pick one, Indominus Rex. Anybody thoughts?
I'll take the bullet. Yeah, sure. I'd say the Indominus Rex. Just because it's like at its core concept, it's supposed to be a T-Rex Raptor hybrid. Versus the Indoraptor, it's the same hybrid. It's just, I guess you just have more raptor DNA, hence the size differentiation. So it's like it's a watered down version of its core concept, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I will say this, like I refer to Jurassic World as the hybrid verse, because the big gag for Jurassic World movies are the hybrids. Even in Camp Cretaceous, the end of the second season, they hinted at another hybrid. And I did like there was a toy line that got released in the middle, in between Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. It was called Chaos Effect, and they had hybrids. And the coolest hybrid was like the Ultimasaurus, which was like this crazy monster looking thing. Yeah, it was gnarly. So I like the concept of a hybrid dinosaur. I think, like, again, it's one of those things where it's like we have a toy line that did the execution maybe better, probably in my eyes.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that we didn't get that kind of execution for the films.
I agree.
Yeah, I also prefer the Indominus over the Indoraptor because I feel like the Indominus was a one movie premise.
Yeah.
And that, is supposed to be, again, calling back to the original theme of screwing around with nature, and it fulfilled that purpose. So I just didn't feel like there was a need to keep going with that, but they did, because as Josh said, that's kind of the new hook, is the hybrids.
Yeah.
I had a bit of an issue with how they did that, though, because here's the thing. They had the Indominus, which was this badass, ultimate super, predator, and it was like super at everything. It was practically a MRSU in its own right to a degree, until, of course, it got its ass handed to it, but rightfully so. But then, of course, when you have Indoraptor, it felt like a bit of a downgrade. So it's almost like when you have these high stakes, that are raised so high initially that when in the sequel, if you go lower, if you don't match the same bar, and or if you don't go higher, it kind of feels a bit underwhelming, which is what it felt to me personally. I felt like they didn't quite hit that mark and target what they were trying to do, because they were trying to go with the idea of suspense and being terrifying rather than going all out crazy action kablamo thing.
Yeah.
And that's what the director of the movie said, but it just didn't feel that way to me. It mostly felt very funny and comical and cringe because kid characters are immortal. There is no way to beat something that's immortal, no matter how badass you are. And that's kind of just been the whole thing. It was all around the kid characters, and even the death scenes in this last movie, I felt like they really got them poorly handled. They were more trying to be humorous about them, which I think was the wrong way to do it. They didn't really show, of how terrifying it could have been. And of course, it also kind of, I think, subtracted the value of showing dinosaurs on screen, because if you remember in the first movie, they tried to use dinosaurs more sparingly, and the same thing kind of happened in the second movie. They were more sparingly used. So every time they actually show up on a screen, they actually give you something. There's like a bit of an info to deliver to you. So when you have something like a T-Rex, it was obviously basically doing what T-Rex does, so I don't have to explain that. But when you go into like Gallimimus, when they went to the whole, they move in flocks, and then you get to see the hunting behavior, what happens when dinosaurs get released, when T-Rex ambushes it, and there's more stuff like that. And then, of course, you see one thing I will say that I really enjoyed about the final scene of The Lost World. Remember when the T-Rex family gets reunited, they show the T-Rex family, they show the Stegosaurus herd, they show the Pteranodon. By the way, that was the accurate Pteranodon, because Pteranodon means toothless, basically. And the JP3 Pteranodons had teeth, which is an oxymoron, basically. So,
well,
go figure.
It's almost an oxymoron, because sure enough, we actually discovered a large pterosaur with teeth that looks like a pteranodon. It's called Ludodactylus. So it's like paleontology always has a way to like.
Is it a pteranodon? But is it a pteranodonted though? That's the thing. I don't know that. For sure.
I don't know. Like pterosaurs, it gets messy because the pterosaur. I mean, we could probably look it up afterward.
The thing is, one thing, if anybody is going to be looking up, just bear in mind that Pterodactyloidae is like absolutely huge family, which has just so many different diverse different families of pterosaurs in them. So you're going to basically go crazy trying to look them all up. So just want to say that.
Good to know.
But, I hear what you're saying about kind of feeling like the downgrade, because mind you, they were able to take down the Indoraptor themselves whereas the Indominus, they had to recruit a T-Rex to do it.
And a raptor.
Yeah.
And a raptor.
And a mosasaurus.
Yeah, and the giant mosasaur, yeah.
So I also, because I think they've pitched us as the Indoraptor was supposed to be scarier, but also one of the problems with it too is they set it up as a super dominant predator, smarter than everybody and this and that, but like you had to have the people survive. So that there were a lot of moments where they cheapened out because of the because they needed their main characters to live through a moment, so they kind of the Indoraptor got less scary or less formidable because it just couldn't win in that moment because plot.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I didn't like about the Indoraptor, like if I boil it down to its base concept, like it was just a scary cat because it got killed because they pointed a laser somewhere. Like that was the gimmick. Like you point the laser, the Indoraptor will attack it, and like that's been like the biggest gripe. It's like, well, there's something that does that. They're called guns.
Yeah.
Where you point the gun, you
Right.
get the same result. Which I think the concept they were trying to go for was like lasing targets for ordnance drops, like stealth bombers and stuff like that. Which, yeah, you can't carry a bunker buster bomb. You have to laze it with the target. But when it comes to the Indoraptor, it's like no, your semi-automatic is just as effective as this like $1 million prototype monster you Frankenstein together.
Exactly. I will say there that one moment in Fallen World where the Indoraptor, the way it gets out, where it fakes dead and then is fucking with the guy who's coming to try to pull its teeth.
Oh yeah.
So much potential for personality in this creature they created. I'm like that. If that was the dinosaur we got, that what they showed us in that one scene, if that was consistent with the dinosaur we got in the rest of the movie, I might be saying something completely different. Because I love that one little moment. It doesn't save the rest of any part of that movie, but I felt like we were given a lot of potential with that, especially because for all of that, I agree that you have so many real dinosaurs to use. You didn't have to do a hybrid, but I also feel like that is the next evolution of what would people do at the park. So I do, in some ways, like the Indominus Rex, and I do think they use it to its maximum potential, where it is the biggest, it is the scariest. Agree with that criticism that where do you go from there when you make it the biggest and the scariest? But where you go, the answer is you don't try to go up, you have to go a different direction. It felt like they were trying to top themselves with the Indoraptor rather than trying to find something new,
Yeah.
And they definitely did not top themselves with it. They definitely fell shorter. Ninja Lord Steve, take it away.
It's funny because yesterday a friend of mine was doing a online Q&A, and one of the questions someone asked was, what dinosaur, if shrunk down, would make the best pet? And I feel like that could be another direction they take if they could genetically manipulate dinosaurs as much as they do in these movies, is create miniature designer dinosaurs. You can have the pet. Tired of cats? Do dogs feel played out? Get yourself a miniature brontosaurus.
Yeah. that was a movie, right? Wasn't that like Dinosauria, where it was like a bunch of mini dinosaurs this kid had? Prehysteria, yeah.
Prehysteria, but those weren't genetically altered. It's their explanation was they spent so much time in the cold that they were their size was stunted.
Yeah. Dwarfism was like extreme dwarfism was the explanation.
Which don't forget, we actually do have a few dwarf dinosaurs out there.
No, we do. Transylvania has a few of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hateg Basin.
Yep. In Romania, in fact, I've sculpted a Hatzegopteryx, which is a giant pterosaur from Romania, from that place, and I have an Indiegogo campaign currently, campaigning to get the money for releasing the resin kit. So make sure you support that.
Do you have a link for that? Send it over in the private chat, and I will post it in the.
All right, no worries. Just give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. And we have gotten through the film at this point. For over 2.5 hours.
Awesome.
This is a great stream. So we do not have to put a video in this anytime soon.
I have a big question for everybody on the panel. Where does Jurassic Park fall in terms of Spielberg films for you?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because I feel like it's one of people usually have it in the conversation for his best work.
Yeah.
And that's one of those conversations that includes high film criticism and general commercialism. So, how do you guys feel about it?
Well, it's definitely top 3. I mean, it's. I mean, I can easily say Jurassic Park is top 3. Again, you combine it with its effect on the industry as a whole. It's just insane. I mean, I could definitely listen to a conversation which 2 would be better, but it's just so hard to not be like, yep, this is easily top 3. I mean, and Indiana Jones obviously is up there too, and the third one can be up for discussion. But I mean, I have zero hesitation in my life putting Jurassic Park in the top 3.
I'd put probably top 3.
Yeah, I'd say I'm the same thing as far as top 3, because the 3 Spielberg films for me are funny enough, all the blockbuster ones. It's like Indiana Jones, Jaws, Jurassic Park. Those are the big 3 for me. And funny enough, Jurassic Park has the advantage of both advanced technology. Spielberg was a vetted actor, and he uses aspects of both Jaws and Indiana Jones, like Indiana Jones as far as character development, and then Jaws as far as the rule of like hiding the monster. The Velociraptors are Jaws for Jurassic Park, where they're the last dinosaur that's revealed, but they're the one that's hinted at the beginning of the film. And he strings along that anticipation of like, what are the Velociraptors, and you're hooked. So you're like, the T-Rex is amazing, but you're still like, what is the Velociraptor? And that's something that goes all the way back to Jaws. And so it's like those are my top 3. I will say, because Jurassic Park borrows heavily from the previous 2, that it's probably at the 3rd, just because you had to break a lot more ground with both Jaws, which is a great film, even though the shark looks terrible, and then Indiana Jones, which did for archaeology what Jurassic Park did for paleontology.
Science favorite director.
Starfreak says, what about Schindler's List? Now, I'll put this out there, guys, in the wake of the Gina Carano firing. If you guys do not feel comfortable commenting publicly on Schindler's List, I will understand completely. For me, Schindler's List is a great movie. It is a film. It is Spielberg's, I would say it's his best film. It's a filmy film. It's a really great triumph in that regard. It tells an incredibly compelling emotional story. But his blockbusters, for me, like Josh, your 3 and my 3 are the same, because those movies have just the same amount of merit as filmy films. But at the same time, they're for more people. They reach a larger audience. And movies like Schindler's List are important because they do bring a critical part of history to people, and for many people, it's their entryway into it. So take nothing away from that. And obviously, being Jewish, it has a close place to my heart. But when you look at someone's body of work, someone like Spielberg, you cannot ignore the fact that these blockbusters, which again are just as great pieces of cinema, they have just as much humanity, just as much heart. They follow the same formulas. The writing is just as good. The quality of them, the teams he puts to make them are just as good. But they have that universalism that reaches everybody on some level.
Yeah, I'd say like obviously there's Schindler's List, there's Amistad, there's very socially like valid movies that Spielberg has made. But then you have like your ETs, and you have like the bigger block, but like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You could tell where Spielberg definitely thrived, which was like he thrived with those blockbusters, which had a broader, like they're escapism movies, which is a big cultural appeal. Like you go to the theater to kind of escape that kind of like whatever was troubling you at the time. It's like you have the subject of dinosaurs, you have the subject of aliens, you have the subject of archaeology. So I think, like, for me at least, I do make that distinction between like socially important films and then just cinematic movies that are just like they're there to be there, help you escape, have fun with it. You can't have fun with Schindler's List like you do have fun with Indiana Jones. So
I mean, like Schindler's List is like a once every 5 years movie for me. Indiana Jones is like a once every 5 days movie for me.
Yeah,
we could arrange music flick.
So, no, exactly.
Now-
But that said, Star Freak it's a phenomenal movie, and I cry every time I watch it too. I mean, it's hard not to. Fucking that last the scene. The scene.
So, for me, if we break down all the Indiana Jones movies, Jurassic Park still falls a little lower. I feel like everybody just kind of puts Indiana Jones as one thing. So if that's the case, then I can put Jurassic Park in that like 3, because a lot of the Spielberg movies I like he produced. Poltergeist is rumored that he directed. If he ever comes out and just says I directed it fully, then I like that movie.
Somebody who said they felt like it was him that he did just produce it, but that is
somebody. Yeah. It was somebody that makes movies.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It was Tom Conkle.
What it was? It was Tom. It might have been Tom Conkle.
Okay.
It was somebody who like had a good sense. It might have been Chris Gore, someone like just really into movies. But it was somebody. It was somebody whose word we felt was valid.
Well, long story short, I really like Jurassic Park. It's like that and Jaws aren't movies I love, but I can respect what they do and I like what they are. They're the high adventure, man versus beast, man versus technology, all that stuff, and they're fun, personal movies, and I like a broad variety of them. But just those 3 kind of have the appeal. I think E.T., even though I haven't seen all of it, it looks stupid for the most part. I've seen I don't think it made money because it's fucking cute in the 1980s. That's it. That type of story, there's a reason why they don't have demand for this shit, and E.T. stuff isn't as prevalent as Indiana Jones or other characters or Jaws even. Fucking shark that dies, it doesn't even have a name. So
his name's Bruce, thank you very much.
In real life. Most I think Spielberg has his finger on the pulse of all these right eras. And even though people like this shit on was it Ready Player One? I think that's a good commentary on the type of movie world we live in. Like it's not really I think people wanted, but it's kind of a good way to look at how
it did very well. It was it didn't get a lot of vitriol. Like, I know people did hate it, but like I heard a lot of people who really, really liked it. Most people I know who didn't like it were kind of like meh, but didn't really despise it.
I liked Ready Player One. Only because I feel like cinephiles probably like Ready Player One more because there's a lot of cinephile Easter eggs, like the whole scene with the tie back with The Shining. When they opened that scene and it wasn't a CG set, it was like a film grain replicated real set that they did. I was actually very impressed. I was like, wow, they did real film for this versus the CG parts were very clearly CG parts, and they got away with it because it's like you're in a video game. But like you saw, like the King Kong was King Kong from the 1930s. The Jurassic Park T-Rex was the Jurassic Park T-Rex.
Yeah.
You had all these fun, a lot of heavy Spielberg Easter eggs because Spielberg was the producer. Funny enough, they were going to throw in another Spielberg Easter egg, but they swapped it out for Chucky. Originally, they wanted to do the Velociraptors from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
But Spielberg was like, "You guys have enough of my Easter eggs. Let's do the other Easter egg."
Should have been Chucky riding a Velociraptor.
Oh, that would have been cool.
I might have had a nightmare.
If anybody played the Dino Crisis games, if you notice, there's just so much design, coincidences that are not very coincidental. I think they are probably very purposeful because of the time period that the games were made in. But the raptors are literally JP raptors with different colorations, and the same would go about T-Rex as well. It's literal just copycats.
Like Jurassic Park did for raptors, like it put raptors on the map. Prior to Jurassic Park, velociraptors weren't well known. I knew about Deinonychus because I was a dinosaur buff. Again, I saw those documentaries back in the 80s. But as far as like people who knew what Velociraptor was with the kill claw, that was a new thing for everybody. And then you got games like Primal Rage, which was dinosaurs fighting. You had a JP Velociraptor. Dino Crisis, you had JP Velociraptors. Like anything that I think it's carnivore or Carnosaurus. Carnosaur. They had not Velociraptors. I think they do have a proper Deinonychus, but it was pretty much designed after the JP Raptors.
I can't remember if they actually gave those names. They were just
They did.
Carnosaurs.
No, yeah, they I think it was an issue of Fangoria. Fangoria magazine, they did a whole article on it, and then on one of the little pictures that they say Deinonychus, because legally they were kind of back and forth with the studio. Like Universal at one point did try to sue anybody using the term Jurassic, even though it's a scientific term. So to get around that, when they produced Carnosaur, they decided we're going to call it Deinonychus because the animals look the same, but we're not calling them Velociraptors because we just don't want to deal with the lawsuit.
That's hilarious. That's too funny. So it's like they changed it from Deinonychus in the first place to pick the thing that was easier to say, and now other people are changing it from Velociraptor back to Deinonychus.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or since
Lawsuits make everything better, right?
Yeah, or since AK brought up video games, because everything is getting the like remastered remake treatment these days. Resident Evil, DuckTales, all that. One video game I would drop money on is if they ever did a remake of the Lost World arcade game.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite arcade game. Just
Same.
Flowed, not just gameplay-wise, but kind of how everything moved and the screens. And just fantastic game. It's like I'd love a.
Can I just say that male T-Rex and Carnotaurus were probably the most turds to kill bosses?
Oh yeah, actually, I would say Carnotaurus was the hardest.
For me, it was both of them. They just like had these weirdest, smallest circles for some reason that always show up that you have to quickly pop, and they were the ones that I found the most difficult to aim at, and that was just so annoying. It ate so many of my coins, and the way I tried to there was a way I tried to minimize this effect is that I would put coins into both players if there was no second player, and I would just pop them
dual guns.
just dual guns. Yeah. So if one of them dies, I still have the second gun going.
In fact, I once joked that I played that game so much, I probably single-handedly funded the development of Jurassic Park 3 video game.
Yeah, same here. I hear
I will say,
But also, when I was in, the last time I did actual field work in 2019 with Denver Museum, one of the interns from Sudan studied fossil crocodiles. And what I did was, at our camp, there was one little spot where you could actually get reception. So I downloaded a playthrough of the Lost World arcade game and showed him the Dinosaurus boss fight. And I asked him, I said, so how scientifically accurate is that? And he said, not very. And I said, oh, you mean crocodiles don't dramatically flip through the air when you kill them?
Maybe not.
It's well recorded in the fossil record. The crocodile death spin.
Yeah, the number of crocodiles on their backs.
I will say a real quick shout out. I have a soft spot in my heart for Trespasser. It had its flaws, but I did enjoy it.
I mean, who didn't like the whole idea when you lean down to check your health bar? It was like a hard tattoo. And there's like, the titties, because everybody loves the titties. So,
Voiced by actress Minnie Driver, funny enough. That was the actress that voiced that character.
Yep. I also wanted to... go ahead. Sorry, Ninja, go ahead.
I know, delay and all that. Because I got another one for you. It's, when I was a kid, neighbor buddy of mine had rented The Lost World for Sega Genesis.
Nice.
And we were playing it, and we were in the volcano level. And in that level, you get a special gun that shoots smoke grenades, like a fire. It's supposed to be like a fire extinguisher that you can use to get past lava. Well, a raptor was charging at him, and he panicked. He didn't realize he had the fire extinguisher equipped, so he shot it, and the raptor, falls over dead. It's just like,
see,
we were laughing so
I told
hard
you
that it's like you gassed it.
You have a 16-year. You give a 16-year-old a belt full of smoke grenades. That kid will take out an entire army of raptors, man.
Well, hold on, because the 15-year-old survived. the college students survive. So basically, if you want to survive, Jurassic Park and Isla Sorna, you just have to not be an adult.
Yeah,
You'll live.
yeah.
So I'll win because we're just big kids with money. So
or just be Chris Pratt. That's a very huge
Or
point.
unless you're wearing Alan Grant's plot hat.
Yes, or the
That's
hat.
how Billy
If you don't have the
survives.
Horcrux, your ass ain't gonna
man.
make it to War 3.
I'll just
Don't
take
be a lawyer either.
right in, right?
Oh, yeah, there you go, Jesse.
Yep.
You'll fit
Yeah,
right
yeah,
in.
you'll blend in with the Raptors. Just wear the mask. Yeah. Just take that. I'll get it real fast. Actually, I have it right here.
After Josh, I've got something that I wanted to show off a little bit as well. There's a couple cool,
Jesse.
rare gems out there.
You wear that mask. You take this bad boy right here. You're good.
Oh yeah.
That's great. Oh
Oh
yes.
god, that scene is just so memeable. It's like you can blow into it and just add all sorts of different subtitles, like when they tell Grant to say "call for help," he blows it. It says, "Your mom is so fat."
Right.
Yeah,
And that's when
Dr.
they're
Grant
not
used bone whistle. It's very effective.
Jurassic
Oh,
corn
man.
dog.
So I really fast. I might have to split in a few minutes, just because I have some other errands I got to do. But I don't know if we're wrapping or do we have anything else planned?
I think we were probably moving towards wrapping, unless anyone else had anything they wanted to
Okay.
the table.
Well, yeah, I do have one more thing
Yes.
to show Dion. So do the
Ooh.
whole share thing again.
What you got?
Okay, entire screen. Okay. Go ahead.
The
All right,
Matrix.
for Dion.
Ooh,
Now,
nice.
this is a fossil.
Whoa!
This is a fossil of a little meat-eating dinosaur, I think called Inchiornis. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, since colors don't preserve in the fossil record, so we
Right.
don't know what colors most dinosaurs were. But on this specimen, the feathers were well preserved enough that they were able to look at it under a microscope, and actually the microstructure of a feather can correspond to its color.
Whoa.
And in this one, they found structures for both red and black. So here is an official My Black Ass Dinosaur.
I dig it. I dig it. 100%.
Yeah.
That
100%. My legend transcends the millennium.
was amazing.
Thank
I mean,
you.
if that ain't a great note to go out on, I don't know what is.
100,000% amazing. Oh my god. Anything else? Any other bits we hadn't gotten to that anyone else wants to bring to the table before we put this puppy to bed?
Short round's underrated.
Short round is underrated. Well, I just want to say a huge thank you to AK Rex for reaching out. We started just talking about stuff and realized that there are people in my community who love dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. He obviously loves dinosaurs. And we should do this. So
I
thanks.
think there should be a Lost World and a Jurassic Park 3 and another all these conversations underscored.
So
by
they
those
are.
films.
So would you
Yeah.
guys want to come back and keep doing the movies on future days?
hell yeah.
Not anytime, not necessarily, not next week, but maybe once a month-ish or something till we get a
That'd be fun.
sweet.
Oh, hell yeah, yeah.
All right, cool beans. Well, to be continued then. And guys, let us know too if you enjoyed this. Make sure you share it around, let everyone know. And Lando says hi. Lando Kitten says hello. But thank you so much for joining us on a Saturday afternoon, evening. If you want to keep following Jeff and I around just a little bit, and in a couple hours, hour or two, we'll be over in Shenanigans on Mary Mayhem's channel, having a blast over there. But thank you to all our guests. Links for channels are in the description below, so make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, everybody.
Subscribe to WCBS. We need the help.
Clearly. And yeah,
Shameless plug alert.
any last words from anybody else?
Just a few words of thanks to the awesome Mindless Mob audience, who I am still to this day grateful that they accepted me when I first showed up on the channel, because that whole thing was, I'm still kind of under this whole thing about how random that was. So that's a different story for the previous streams. You should go back and rewatch that stream that we did with shout out to Star Wars girl Anna, by the way, as well. And just wanted to thank the mindless mob and for being awesome, and stay awesome.
Yeah, they are. Thank you, mindless mob. You are awesome.
Yes, thank you for having me on. As you know, throughout this pandemic, for over a year, I've been watching these online talks by other paleontologists and all that, and frankly, it's done a bit of a number on my mental morale. So to finally come on here and do it, and well, frankly, I don't think I'd want to do it with anyone. I don't think I want my debut to be with anyone other than mindless bullshit. So again,
you know what, Steve? If you're interested, maybe we should hit you up someday and get a proper sort of interview on my channel, because I actually have interviewed a lot of different paleontologists on my channel as well. You might know the names like Dr. Thomas Carr and Philip Curie, so they have appeared on my channel as well. So thought maybe we could get you on.
Curie on your channel?
Yep, I've got Philip Curie on my channel as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of paleontologists.
That's
Josh is a regular on it as well. He's like one of the, since I have a kingdom, so he's a duke and Jeffrey's a duke and I'm the king. So that's how it is. We have a fucking kingdom running here. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm very, very happy that the mindless mob has been able to align ourselves with your kingdom.
Likewise, yeah, it's been the best. It's one of the best sort of communities that I've met. Fandom Menace is amazing. I'm happy to be kind of the new sort of part of it ish.
Well, we're very happy to have you as part of it for sure. And Dion, thank you for spending some time here with us on a Saturday. We appreciate it. Cool.
.com.
Yeah.
And Joshua Balls, it was such a pleasure to meet you. So cool to see all your amazing, fun dino toys behind you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's been a pleasure. I had a lot of fun. I'll keep you guys updated on the progress of Robbie, the giant T-Rex. And now that I know we're all mostly SoCal based,
yeah,
we can set up a day and time where we can just hang out and you guys can see more of our collection.
Oh my god!
But yeah, wanted to thank you guys. I've been shadow stalking you on the streams, and then thanks to Arson for inviting me to be a part of this panel. It was a lot of fun, and like the saying goes, life finds a way.
By the way, guys, sorry that I forgot to mention. It was nice to meet Dion as well, because I've said the words to everyone, but I left him out a little bit. So Dion, my man, was really nice to meet you, and was awesome to hear what you had to say.
It was great meeting you too. Great. I mean, I'm sure it's fine that you took so long there to give me a shout out there, but that's fine. That's fine. great
Yeah, it's better than Up the Ass Franklin. So
yeah.
No love from the turtle. All right. Well, once again, guys, thank you everyone for coming out to support on this wonderful Saturday. Thank you for being here. We'll do this again for sure. I had a blast. Hope you guys all had a blast. I'm going to keep drinking and then be good at shenanigans later. So follow us over there. You can say that thing if you want to say it. If you don't want to say it, I'll just say my thing.
Oh, my outro?
Yeah, because it's my bullshit. So.
All right, folks. Gone out there. Be excellent to each other.
God Empress out.